Okay, and we are now live with the Kaiju Crescendo and G-Fest celebration discussion. I am your host, Greg Nevin. On my panel celebrating this momentous occasion are some prominent members of the Godzilla community. First off, I'll be introducing Kaiju Noir himself, Andres Perez.
Hello, people of the internet.
And stepping up next to go on base is Andrew Battaglia, one of Andres' best buddies and cronies, whatever you want to call him. Just introduce yourself, Andrew.
Crony. Yes.
Damn
hello,
right, he's one of my cronies.
Bronies? Wait, what'd you say, Andres? Don't you call me a brony?
And then coming to join us is one of the more prominent scholars within the community and reporters, Mr. Patrick Galvan. Welcome to the show, Patrick.
Oh well, I don't have a catchphrase, but I'm very flattered that you think I'm prominent within this fandom.
So here,
that I'm a scholar.
That much is true here. So, who here wants to start this party off covering covering the Kaiju Crescendo?
Yeah, I guess we'll get started with Kaiju Crescendo first. So, Greg, you usually the one that usually discusses that. So, lead us the way.
Well, this is the good news, folks. The Crescendo was a complete success getting funded, going well above its $35K goal with a total of 46,439 backers, actually dollars, with 357 backers. Any more updates on this will be coming in the forthcoming weeks, but as a whole, I am personally very pleased to see that this Kickstarter was a complete success, and with this, you could expect a very amazing concert from Michiru Oshima and John DeSantis. And any other certain details like ticket prices and whatnot, they'll be going up in the coming weeks as the budget gets figured out.
And I guess also be the time for me to also mention one other thing. For this year's concert, Archie W. Wall will be, and I apologize if I got the last name incorrect, but he served as being the art director for the last two concerts, and he will also be being the art director for Kaiju Crescendo, as well as doing the cover art for the CD, for the promotional art, as well as
Just so you know, Andrew, the last like 10 seconds of that was like broken up.
I was okay, but basically he's doing Archie's doing the promotional and CD art.
Mm-hmm.
And also coming back to also provide rewards for the campaign will be Bob Eggleton, as well as providing small and large art prints, details of which will be revealed as the details of this start coming out.
All right.
Yeah, the campaign was an absolute phenomenal success. It steamrolled past its initial goal of 35,000 within well before it was to end. So it was a completely unambiguous success. Yes.
Hey there, guys.
Oh, surprise, surprise. Titan Goji is joining the party tonight, guys.
Oh my God.
Yes, it is I.
Yeah.
It is you.
Yeah, surprise.
I would like to purchase some of your finest dojins, please.
We do not have dojins, but we do have a copy of a Titanosaurus. Would you like that instead?
Yeah, sure. Titanosaurus is my favorite Godzilla kaiju, so yeah.
I see you are also a man of culture.
Yep.
Well, who doesn't love Titanosaurus, though?
I have an X plus of all the Terror of Mechagodzilla kaiju, so I'm a fan.
Oh, that's awesome.
I've got an X plus of Godzilla 84, and that's all I have of X plus.
I have a one of those like 6-inch Bandai figures of Titanosaurus that I got at G-Fest. That's like they go for like about $80 to $100 these days. I think I found it for $50.
Oh, I also have that one with the Bandai Mechagodzilla 1975.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And as far as X Plus goes, I only have the T-Rex from the original King Kong.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's not an easy figure to come by, from what I understand.
Oh, really?
Or at least not stateside anyway.
Interesting.
So, Titan, you got any thoughts on the success of the Kaiju Crescendo Kickstarter concert?
I'm totally looking forward to it. I definitely feel like okay. Please correct me if I'm like totally botching her name, but it's Michiru Oshima, right?
Yes.
Like that's how you pronounce it. Okay.
Yeah.
I pretty much love all of her scoring in the Millennium series of Godzilla films. Her version of the Godzilla theme is definitely my favorite. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I feel like she's a great composer. Yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah. Much on my end, I'm glad the concert's happening, and you know, me being a fan of Oshima, I look forward to it.
Yeah. I pretty much have. I don't really have much else to add myself, but other than like you guys, I'm also a fan of hers, and I'm very glad to have gotten the chance to see her 2 years ago at G-Fest and by attending her panel, and very glad to that many fans will get the opportunity to see her in action. And for people, it's very happy to know that there are so many Godzilla fans out there that are willing to come together to support such a very ambitious artistic endeavor.
Oh yeah.
So about the venue where this is going to be happening is going to be in Skokie, Illinois, at the North Shore Performing Center of the Arts. And from what I've been told about it during my last live stream with Jonathan and Eric Hominick, it truly looks like the definitive concert hall to host a concert of this magnitude.
Ooh, nice.
Yep, because the Pickwick Theater, which is where they did the last two concerts, is being reconverted to be a full-on, just movie theater only kind of venue. So that's why they couldn't go there this time. But it sounds like the new location will be even better than the last two. So
Now, I've never been to the Pickwick Theater, but that's not the same theater as like the AMC theater that's like nearby, right?
correct.
Okay. Yeah, because during the few times that like me and the Sons of Sarazawa have been to G-Fest, we have gone to that other like mainstream theater, but we never had the opportunity to go to the Pickwick Theater.
Yeah.
And is it like farther away from like from the what's it, the Crown Plaza O'Hare?
I think wasn't it 15 minutes away from the plaza? Or
Yeah, it's about a good 15 minutes away.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been there since 2010, but I think it was about like a 15-minute drive or so. Yeah.
Okay, then. So, yeah, so it looks like you're going to need a car if you're going to want to attend any of the events that are going to take place at the Pickwick.
Or just get an Uber. That's what
And that's
pretty
true.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Unfortunately, I've been far away from the real world that is the United States of America, so I have not yet to get accustomed to the life of an Uber rider.
Andreas actually just found out a few weeks ago that McDonald's does delivery in some locations.
That is interesting. I mean, like, people already order pizza, get pizza delivered to their house, and maybe some Chinese food or something. But it's like burgers. Yeah. It's surprising, but at the same time, not so surprising. I mean, I can only assume that there are people who are just that lazy to not want to drive to a McDonald's and go through the drive-through. It's like, no, that's too much work. I want those Big Macs to come to me.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like there's anyone else we don't know that would possibly do that. Sorry.
Ooh, dirty motherfuckers.
That video is a masterpiece.
Oh man, this is gonna be.
Yeah, my only complaint is that we did not get like associate producer credits in it for like helping him get it.
No, given Gorazard's connection to McDonald's, we can have him be our personal McDonald's delivery boy.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll just have to go all the way out from Vegas to Chicago, where we're going to be at. There we go.
Yeah. I'm sure Customs will allow him to carry a full Happy Meal for me.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yes. So yes, we'll take it all the way to Chicago. What's that? No. Can you get a specific guy called David Joshua Hernandez? No, we specifically need that guy because we're trying to piss him off. Oh, you know that guy. But yes, he's an asshole too. So yeah, just bring him. Make sure he comes only. All right, great. Thank you.
Maybe we can get David to service everybody at the concert. Like,
yes.
I can probably help out too because I actually work for DoorDash.
Oh, okay.
So
what do you normally deliver?
Anything really. I would say that most of the orders I had to deliver range like from Chipotle to PF Chang's and Saltgrass Steakhouse.
You drive a mighty hard bargain there.
Yeah. It pays well too.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. Especially if you're going to be driving everywhere. I'm assuming they're paying for the gas.
I have to pay for my own gas, unfortunately.
oh, really?
Shoot.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Pity.
Yeah, it's good.
And so, let's see. So you mentioned the Kaiju Crescendo and that it's become a big success. And let's see. So you also mentioned, Greg, that the reason why we also had this big live stream is that you also want to do some get some early get started early on promoting a lot of the events that are going to take place at G-Fest, many of which we are actually going to be a part of. And of course, I know you were in fact going to be hosting the Nessie panel, and I'm pretty certain you have already talked about this quite a number of times on your channel. Are there any other events that you're going to be a part of for this year's G-Fest?
As far as panels go, the Nessie panel is the only one that I'm actually hosting, but I'm going to be attending a good amount of panels yet. But which exact ones, we open to actually discussing that with you guys. Once we go through the schedule list one by one and discuss each panel.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how I would tell you which one I'm going to go to or potentially skip.
All right. Yeah, totally. Let's see. So I remember, Andrew, you sent us the G-Fest schedule a while back, I would say. Do you happen to have it on you at the moment?
No, not at the moment.
I do.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking at it right here in Gmail.
Oh, very good. Okay, found it here. Found the old message. Opening it up.
Yeah, which you should have it too, Andres, since you guys since you're doing a panel. Since you're doing a panel too, I'd imagine that would have gotten it as well.
Let's see. Given how my panel is going to be hosted by Titan Goji here, did you get the schedule?
Oh yeah. I got the schedule. I wasn't sure if someone already had it pulled up.
Okay. Because I have it up on my desktop right now.
Okay, yeah, just all right. So I mean, I guess we're just going to be talking about. Since now we talked about Kaiju Crescendo, I guess we'll try to go into your own individual panels to make things easy.
Yeah, just one by one.
Mm-hmm.
Starting on Friday and going through to Sunday, and then eventually covering this year's guest lineup too, because that's going to play a big part over which panels I go to as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I most likely won't be attending a whole lot of panels other than the ones you guys are associated with, mainly because hopefully, God willing, by the time G-Fest rolls around, my comic book, my giant robot comic book, Primal Warrior Draco Azul, will be completed, and I'll be selling it at Denny Roth's table in the Artist's Alley. So I'll be spending most of my time primarily in the Artist Alley for the majority of G-Fest.
All right. That ain't no problem.
Of course.
So let's get started then.
All right.
Let's see. Greg, would you like to take the honors?
All right, starting off Friday at 11 o'clock in ballroom number 1. It's the G-Fest orientation with committee chair with G-Fest chairman JD Lees. This is an essential one for anyone who's new to the convention and wants to learn the inner ropes and goings of how the convention works and tips and whatnot. I've never gone to one of these, but I just might want to go to one to see what it might be actually like and save it for future reference for anyone else that is a new timer.
Okay, sorry. I have been to one G-Fest orientation session. I forgot which one exactly it was. I believe it was G-Fest 2015. Me and my friends Bill, Dylan, and Adam, we were all there, and we saw pretty much like it's kind of like your best opportunity to see the whole lineup of special guests there. As at the time we had, I believe he was the director, the special effects director behind the 2000s the Godzilla series, and I think also it was the actor who played the Red Gal Ranger being the Sentai that became Power Rangers Wild Force, and I think he was also the main actor from Tokyo SOS, and I think also Akira. I think Akira Takarada, maybe he was there, or maybe that was 2016.
That was 2016.
Thank you very much.
Yep, 16.
So, it's pretty much if it goes as like the orientation sessions that I've been to in the past, it would be a neat way to get yourself introduced to the full lineup of guests at G-Fest.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I've only been to one, and that was my first year at G-Fest in 2015, and it was a nice little thing. It was just a nice little way to set things up, and yeah, that's pretty much it, really.
Last year was my first time going to G-Fest, and I just didn't bother going to the orientation. I pretty much thought to myself that I had it down as to like, you know, what all like goes down at these conventions and shit. Wait, am I allowed to swear?
All bets are off. I don't care.
Yeah, I think the rule, given our madness, I think swearing is the least of our problems.
Yeah.
It's essential. No, it isn't.
It's all part of the plot.
Yeah, because that just kind of slipped out like a bit naturally, and that was my bad.
Just be yourself.
I mean, come on, G-Fest is a family-oriented thing. Don't be dropping.
Yeah, come on, man. Show some dignity here.
I'm sorry.
Come on, you've heard JD Lees before.
I'm sorry, guys.
Come on, you want to get our panel canceled next?
Oh, not again.
Oh, no.
I'm not worried, guys. I'm not worried.
I'm a Christian, I swear.
Convention.
Okay.
Quick, Titan Goji, you got to scrub all your inappropriate content off your channel before someone complains about you.
Do
Wipe the slate clean.
I'm trying.
So much bad words. Must get rid of them.
Die. Kill it if you have to.
Denny says you're one to talk, Noir.
Hey, I regret nothing, Denny.
Andre Steele says, hi guys, sorry I'm late. John DeSantis was also in the chat. Raph had a little message for us too.
Also, I just want to say this, John. If you're listening to this, I apologize of our madness. Since you should not be exposed to this.
John's had a lot on his shoulders managing this campaign alongside Oshima-san. He's probably relieved to have to not deal with the campaign much more, but he's got a bigger fish to fry in terms of Mao getting the actual show in order.
Yep.
This is just, dude, I'm all about the macho madness.
Yes. Embrace the madness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. So the next panel we have here at 12 p.m. on Friday is Godzilla's Revenge, which I guess this is an anniversary year for that film.
Yeah, it is. 50 years.
Okay. And oh wow.
Years.
And I unfortunately am not familiar with the person who is hosting this panel, but it'll be very interesting to see how many people would attend that one, given its reputation.
Oh yeah, totally.
All right. Before we go, one of the people hosting the panel is the guy who's in charge of the panel is Martin Arlt.
Martin Arlt. Okay, I was wondering how you pronounce that name.
Yeah, him and some other guys. Doesn't say who the full lineup is. There's a separate email, I think, with the full lineup. The next one in Ballroom 2 at that same time is the Monstrosities panel hosted by Matt Burkett and the rest of the Monstrosities crew.
Oh yeah, a fellow Godzilla YouTubers out here. Glad to know that they got a panel of their own.
I definitely plan on going to that one. I remember meeting Matt and some of the other Monstrosities guys at G-Fest last year, and we had a good time with each other. It was pretty awesome getting to meet them and whatnot. They were surprised to find out that I was 18 at the time and had a beard.
Yeah, honestly, I would say that you sound a lot older than you actually are, man.
Yeah, I tend to get that a lot. I'm 19 now, still with a beard and longer hair.
Mm-hmm. And yeah,
This is for you.
I yet to meet Matt in person, but I do look forward to seeing him at G-Fest. I think like we've been to G-Fest, but we've never actually run into each other, mostly because it's like whenever I'm at G-Fest, I'm usually up to whatever shenanigans with my buddies, like these guys here. So, but yeah, I do look forward to meeting him in person, especially since we're actually going to be collaborating on a particular panel that we'll get to very soon.
I mean, it's kind of already been spoiled, so you don't really need to say particular.
I didn't meet him, but I was in the same physical space as him at 2017. I passed him in the lobby of the hotel, but he was on his phone, so I couldn't say hello or anything like that. So, but I have been in like the same physical proximity as Matt.
Yeah,
You share the same physical space. You connected with each other in a metaphysical sense.
Yeah.
Sure. Yes.
Yes, and the same pretty much goes for me. Same thing with Matt at 2017. Although I do when I get the chance to talk to him, I do have to say this. I have to thank him for making his tag series, because without him, we would have never gotten the one with David.
Oh yeah, that's
right,
true.
yeah.
He started that, I think.
Yeah, he started that. We owe him for giving us the great laughs that we got with Corazard.
Right, because he tagged D-Man, who tagged me, who I tagged David.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So the next panel in the Kennedy room at the same time is the Sekizawa and Kimura panel, hosted by Marchand and Demana.
Yeah, I actually know at least one of those guys. Nathan Marchand from Kaiju Vision Radio Podcast, and Daniel DiMana, who's working on the Godzilla novelization project.
Okay, cool. Anyone going to be thinking about attending this one?
I'm thinking about it because actually, I recently was trying to dig up on some information on Kimura if I could find any, and apparently I found out that there might be, and bear in mind this is loosely, so I don't know how true it is. Are any of you guys familiar with Fumio Tanaka?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Apparently, he wrote a book like back in the 90s, and there was a bit of it that went into a little bit about Kimura. Now, bear in mind, I do not know how accurate this is, and I'm going to see if I can still try to find and get the book. But if it is accurate, then we might be able to find some bits of information on Kimura's life.
Fumio Tanaka is one of few people who Kimura seemed to talk to at all. So there you go.
Yeah, so we might be able to dig up something about him, but hopefully, maybe this panel will already do that for us. So,
all right, excellent. In the next hour at 1:00, we have the best non-Godzilla Toho Kaiju ever in all caps. by McMahon.
Spoiler
McMahon.
alert, it's
McMahon.
Gary.
It's McMahon.
It's McMahon.
No chance. No chance in hell.
WWE jokes, folks.
Gonna happen when
It's
I'm
young
around.
Gary.
Yeah, it's totally young Gary's gonna show up. It's like, it's me, McMahon. It was me all along.
With me, Austin.
So yeah, I do wonder. So they're mentioning but they do mention non-Godzilla Toho kaiju. So
So
I
young
guess
Gary didn't count.
Never mind.
Oh, young Gary.
Spoiler alert! It's Dogora.
the giant jellyfish from outer space.
yeah. Yeah, man. He is A tier, man. He is triple A tier kaiju
God
material
tier.
right there.
God
He was
tier
in-
right
He's
there.
God tier.
Oh yeah, he's definitely God tier.
He's
Unless he's
Godzilla
confronted with
tier.
unless he's confronted with wasp venom.
Yeah, he was in an extremely mediocre film in the 60s and an even more mediocre film in the 2010s. So yeah, he's really got a lot going for him. Yes.
It's just, I'm a big green gene jelly from outer space, says Denny.
The quote. Yeah, except Denny, there's only one little problem. To quote Immortan Joe, mediocre.
See, there's a reason why they left Dogora out of the Godzilla PS4 game, because they know he'd be the most broken.
Ah.
Yeah, you mean like Neor's mediocre channel? Oh, shots fired.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think there are any other Godzilla kaiju that have a sort of connection with wasps. So I'm pretty sure Dogora just like one shots them all.
Yeah, totally. You see, his weakness makes him the most relatable to the audience.
Oh yeah.
Ah. It's all coming together now.
Yeah, see, it all makes sense.
Yeah. And now you can just hear Dogora just going, not the beast, not the beast. It's in my eyes, my eyes. Wait, I don't have any eyes.
So obviously you don't need to go to the panel anymore because we all know the best non-Godzilla Toho kaiju ever is Dogora.
Andres, there's there may be one problem though with that. What that is?
What?
That there's only one thing that could rival Dogora. And that
Another
is
Dogora?
No. Well, maybe another Dogora. One where if you put Gigan in there.
Put Gigan in there, yes. That'd probably be it. But he's a Godzilla Toho kaiju, so he's obviously disqualified.
Damn it.
So Dogora still stands.
Dogora was in Godzilla Planet of the Monsters, so technically he is a Godzilla kaiju as well.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
Damn it!
Like, damn it!
He was too OP. He's too OP to be in the panel.
What we need to do now, Andres, we need to have Dogora against Gona Guy's super secret special robot.
No. We got to put up Dogora against Final Form Shaggy at 2% power.
Mastered Ultra Instinct Shaggy with 1/10,000th percentage of his power.
This isn't even my final form, man.
Like I heard you were the best non-Godzilla Toho kaiju.
Oh, now we're getting into Scooby-Doo jokes. This is
Uh-oh. So, yes. Yeah.
And at 50% power, Shaggy gets a stand, and it's Ricardo Milos.
and your eye and some of the audience might be wondering, who in the fuck is that?
Oh, obviously, someone did put up a legit contender. John DeSantis mentioned the giant condor. He's got, of course, yeah. He's definitely got a very good suggestion there.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Very
Always.
good suggestion. Always.
Let's see. So next up on the list in Ballroom 2 at 1:00 on Friday, it is Jeopardy adult What QUAL? Adult quality?
Qualification.
Oh, okay. Jeopardy Adult Qualification Game 1 by Skip Peel. Skip Peel, that sounds like a stage name. Unless it's an instruction that we're supposed to skip the individual named Peel.
Or maybe he's Jordan Peele's long lost brother. Just without the extra E.
Yeah.
Maybe his name is a pun, like Skip Peel, like banana peel.
In case anybody's wondering, Jeopardy is basically Jeopardy with Jeopardy that's kaiju centric. That's held at every year.
Okay. To be honest, I've never attended any of these. Like, I'm not sure if this is a new thing or not, but I've never attended any of these sort of like game show style panels. But it's good to have some variety there.
Yeah, I think actually that might have started right around 2014, if I'm not mistaken. This whole thing. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think that's when they began that.
I'm gonna say you're wrong.
I want to say so too. I'm not even objecting. I'm not even objecting to the fact that I'm just I'm seriously just like, I'm probably wrong about that.
No, I'm just being facetious, man.
I know you are, but I'm serious. Like I might be wrong.
Let's see. Next up, the next panel would be Green Slime. I'm actually surprised to hear about this one. So this one was a American Japanese co-production.
Yes,
and it
okay.
And it starred good old Richard Jekyll.
Okay, I'm actually surprised that G-Fest wanted to, or someone at G-Fest wanted to cover the Green Slime.
I don't know, man. I mean, G-Fest. There's people at G-Fest covering the Godzilla anime trilogy. So I think anything with Tokusatsu is like fair game at G-Fest, really.
Oh. Wait a minute. In that case, I wonder if anyone's ever tried to cover like Sentai or Kamen Rider at G-Fest, because honestly, don't hear a lot about the TV stuff. Like anything involving Toei, I don't really hear a lot at G-Fest.
Andres,
yeah,
that is the conversation for you and I to have later on in the future.
Okay. Let's see. Next up, we got Cheesy Monsters Raid Again, hosted by Isabella at 2:00 in Ballroom 1. I have no idea what this is, but the title's got me intrigued.
If I could think about this for a moment, I think it's about those, so bad it's good kind of monster movies. The old, maybe got the old B movies from the 50s and so forth. If I had to guess,
right.
Knowing the presenter Tony Isabella.
Okay.
I actually remember him emailing several people for like monster suggestions, like for the panel, and I recommended Reptilicus.
Oh, okay, yeah, that can definitely work as one.
Absolutely, given how crappy that monster was done. I mean, the flying scene was so god awful. It was cut from the English dub.
Wait, Greg, what are you talking about? I mean, who wouldn't want to see a puppet that looks as stiff as my water bottle just fly in the air like it's being hung by like some rope that's been broken off?
I don't know, man. I mean, from what I hear, I heard that this was an inspiration for James Cameron's Avatar's flying scenes.
Can you imagine if that was true? Just imagine that scene for Reptilicus, but with Avatar.
James Cameron's Reptilicus 2.
We need to commission somebody to do a fan art of that stat.
Shoma, get to work on it.
Oh, wait. Reptilicus.
No, or specifically, Okay, specifically, it'll have the tagline "Rise of the Smurfs."
See, so
by the way, Andres, I won't voice it out loud, but your suggestion in the group chat here was actually a pretty good choice, actually.
Thank you very much. Nothing can be more cheesier than that suggestion. You can smell the cheesiness coming right off of it.
The
forbidden tea and a little corny. I think it also been pretty well there too. Yeah.
Yeah, a little cheesy, a little bit on the campy side too.
A little corny, yeah. It's got the three magnificent C's, as I call them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is it gonna? Now, the question is, will it involve a certain individual trying to act like a badass by throwing a bottle in the trash?
We're entering a deeper level of in jokes here that we're gonna have to explain afterwards.
The answer to that is you don't want to know.
Yes, exactly.
You don't want to know.
You don't want to know. Moving up along ahead, we got Jeopardy Adult Qualification Game 2 by Skip Peel. So it looks like he's doing a 2-hour panel at this point. Let's see. After that, we got Bandai and Tsuburaya with Axem, Parmley, and Derendorf.
Okay, well, there's a little bit of Tsuburaya there.
I know the last two names. I don't know the first one.
The Matt Parmley and Kevin Derendorf, whom is also going to be on my Nessie panel.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
is this panel supposed to be... when I hear Bandai, I immediately think of toys, but I know they have a role in the Toei stuff. So it's like, are they going to be talking about like toy stuff or like TV stuff?
I think it might be TV related, possibly.
Okay. It would be
That's what I'm
interesting.
thinking.
I have heard a lot of stuff, drama surrounding like Sentai, the state of Sentai at the moment. So I wonder if they're ever going to touch on that. Because from what I heard, if this current Sentai Ryu Soldier doesn't do so well, this may be the very end of the franchise for now.
Damn, that's pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Sentai has, unlike Kamen Rider, Sentai has been going nonstop since like 74, 75.
Yeah. Actually, no, you're right. They didn't take a hiatus. That's true.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we got at 3:00. We got Paleontologist panel sequel with some unknown artist
Sasquatch
guy. Yeah, some like artistic Sasquatch looking motherfucker named Dennis Roth.
Skip it.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna skip that.
Yeah, hear that, Denny? We're talking about your panel.
Oh, hi, Denny.
About your sex life. And it's mine's certainly better than yours.
And also in the chat is another one of my panel contributors, Eric Borgia, aka Eric Zilla.
Hello, Eric.
And let's see. Someone in the audience also happens to mention that this Danny guy sounds like a punk. No, not so much of a punk, more of a squatch.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah. What does he know about paleontology?
Yeah.
Well, did he actually study it in university? I like to see his degree.
And he's actually.
I want to see the paperwork. Damn it!
The answer is actually yes. He has. He actually has studied paleontology. For real, actually.
Did he actually get a degree in it though?
Yeah, we know. In all seriousness, yes, he is indeed a licensed paleontologist.
Yeah, he's pretty much one of the rare examples of a guy who can be a paleo artist and a kaiju artist and comic artist at the same exact time.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of us like to talk about dinosaurs because we like them. He can talk about dinosaurs legitimately because he actually studied them. Let's see. Next up, we got in Ballroom 2 at 3 p.m. Kaiju Transmissions, Biollante, but with Parmsley. I'm assuming Kaiju Transmissions is a podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. I'm Matt Parmley, Kyle Bird. I'm good friends with those guys.
Okay.
Very great. And I don't mean to interrupt you, Andres, but I would highly recommend.
How dare you?
Let me finish. But in all seriousness, no, they're pretty much. I would say that they're like second best to Kaiju Cast. They're really, really good.
That's very good to hear.
Seconded.
Hey, all because of Kyle and Keith Foster.
Yeah. Let's see. Next up, we got another anniversary panel for Gamera versus Giron with Domei and Suton.
I
This
think
almost sound like Ultraman names.
Second guy, I think his name is Mike Sutton.
Sutton, okay.
That's your Japanese accent coming in there, Roger. Sutan.
Oh my god.
You're there for too long, my friend.
The assimilation has begun!
Assimilate! Assimilate!
No, I will not conform to your collectivist ways.
Delete! 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 Delete!
Resistance is futile. You will be assimilated.
There is logic in what he says.
Alex have no elegance. This is obvious. Oh, I love that quote from Doctor Who.
So yeah, Gamma versus Euron. I'm excited to see what those guys have cooked up for that panel.
Yeah, hopefully some interesting behind the scenes information.
Oh yeah, totally.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. At 4 p.m., we got Bringing Godzilla Down to Size with the legendary Ed Godziszewski and Steve Rifle. Let's see, Patrick, you happen to be associated with these fine gentlemen, right?
I guess you could say that. I mean, I've only interviewed them like a bajillion times.
You're great buddies with them.
Yes, they're very good friends.
I'm sure you've shared a few drinks with them.
Not drinks, but I've had lunch with Steve, and I've talked to them semi-regularly. They're good friends of mine.
You've talked street with Ed. Ed his G-Fest last year told us.
Right? Yes.
Yo, Ed, what's up, Holmes?
You're like, yo, what up, Eddie G? How's it happening, my brother?
They were basically Steve and Ed, Real Talk are basically like they're the guys who basically inspired me to do what I do. So I owe a tremendous amount of thanks to them for like influencing how I look at Tokusatsu and how I think about it, how I write about it, et cetera and so forth. So I owe a tremendous amount of debt to both those guys. Yes.
Yeah. In all seriousness, it's definitely reflected in your work, and I mentioned this to you personally. I would like to say it again that I could easily see you following in the footsteps of Ed Godziszewski and Steve Rifle.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I definitely second that, because whenever time I listened, read any one of your essays, it's definitely showing that you definitely have the potential, showing you are definitely like the next Ed or next Steve.
That means a lot.
So what exactly is this panel going to be about? If you happen to know.
Judging from the title, I think it might be about the documentary of the same name that they put out a while back.
I don't know for sure, but that's what it sounds like to me. Is that it'd be about the documentary they made in 2007, which unfortunately is a little hard to come by thanks to classic media. But it's a documentary.
Right.
The documentary that was on it was a bonus feature on the Rodan / War of the Gargantuas DVD that classic media put out long time ago.
Okay, so it's just sort of like almost like kind of a pseudo 10-year celebration of that documentary.
That's my guess. I don't know for sure what they have in mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, then again, when was that classic media DVD released?
I want to say 2008.
Yeah, it was probably 2008. I remember it coming out around the same time as the other classic media Godzilla releases.
Right, because I do remember it was 2006 was when classic media put out the first Godzilla movie, and then 2007 I do remember, I think that was when Godzilla Unleashed for the Wii came out, and that had an advertisement for the following DVD releases that classic media put out. And then near the tail end, I believe it was the War of the Gargantuas and Rodan 2-pack that was like the final release for them.
That sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So next up, also at 4 o'clock, we have Jeopardy! Kids Edition with Skip Peel. So he gets to do Jeopardy! Just one more time, this time for the kids. So I'm assuming they probably have like easier questions for them, maybe more about monsters than with actors and actresses and directors.
Maybe they're harder questions, Andres.
Oh yeah.
So like this, like the intelligent questions, like it's perfect. They give the dumb ones for the adults and they give the smart ones for the kids. It's all part of the plan.
Well, don't forget that.
So like Jeopardy adult version would be like, are you smarter than a fifth grade G fan?
Well, I'm pretty sure that it was an adult. The person who asked Miss Oshima, "Do you find it easier on music because you're a woman?"
And then the answer to every one of those questions will be GTFO.
I wish.
Do you like Gajinkas?
Oh my goodness.
Are you a fan of Kaiju Girls? Not that one, the other one.
Oh, is that? Are you guys referencing that Michael Doherty panel thingamajig that happened a while back?
Sadly,
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, stop the presses, guys. Matt Frank's in our chat here.
Ah, sweet.
Oh my God.
What?
Okay, so Matt Frank, he said, did someone actually ask that? What are you referring to, Mr. Frank? Are you referring to the
Dumb question.
yeah? Which question were you referring to? The Oshima question or the Michael Doherty question?
The answer to both questions is yes. They both happened.
Right, both of them did indeed happen.
They both happened.
Actually, I think Andrew and Patrick, you were there when the Oshima question happened, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Okay, Matt Frank said the Oshima question. Okay, so just to clarify, would you like to, you or Andrew, would one of you like to go slightly more in depth with that, just to clear the air?
Okay, I'll try to explain this.
Bringing back bad memories.
Yeah, I know.
Hilarious bad memories, nonetheless.
Yes, but okay, so we were all the way in the back for the Oshima panel, and it was a nice little panel, with Robert Scott Field and Oshima, and Kyle Young was interviewing, right? Yeah. Okay, so then by the end they were starting to take Q&A. And knowing how our feelings are towards certain other G fans who will ask very, how do we say, special questions, I almost tried to pick up Patrick just to say, here, take this guy. He's got a smart question. Take him. And instead, there was one person that raised up his hand and asked, can't believe I'm even saying this, but do you compose Godzilla movies because
Mothra.
With Mothra, like, do you identify with Mothra because you're a woman? And I felt like I lost some brain cells after that.
Wait, that's illegal.
What's illegal? Losing my brain cells? Or just that question?
Oh no, like the question I was referring to.
Wouldn't be surprised. And woman is my. Thank you, Matt. That's perfect. And woman is Mothra. Yes.
Always. Yeah.
Perfect.
And just to let everyone know, it's like these sort of these special use your word, special quality of questions here. They are rather prevalent for any panel, but this one especially was just a whole other level of stupidness right there. Stupidity right there.
Cringe-inducing.
That's pretty much universal with all audience Q&As with these kind of things.
Yeah, there's always going to be that one idiot.
There's always going to be the one ignoramus.
I told you guys this over Skype a couple weekends back, but last year I got to see the original Alien on the big screen, and Veronica Cartwright was there as a special guest. And there was a Q&A before the show, and the questions were the usual sort of, what's it like being killed by an alien? And the really big one that really just rubbed me the wrong way was some guy who, by the way, was not a kid. He's like middle-aged. Comes up and says, "So Veronica, you got your big start in movies like Invasion of the Body Snatchers and Alien, science fiction, and your sister made her big start in Lost in Space, also science fiction. So both of you got your start in science fiction. How do you explain that?" What do you think she's gonna say?
Coincidence, you.
It wasn't.
We did this specifically to form a fake conspiracy for you. What do you think happened?
That's basically what she said, in much more polite terms than what I said. But
And Denny mentioned, reminds me of how someone tried to derail my paleo panel last year. I am curious to know how that happened.
That's gonna be topic. I want to hear Danny.
Matt, keep the comments coming, buddy. They are pure comedy gold. And Nessie's working on my Nessie commission right as we speak.
Nice. And
That
Matt
was-
said, "How am woman science? You do science fiction. You also do science fiction. How that possible? Impossible.
How do you science?
How do you science?" I think that's
Do
the
you-
quote I'm gonna take.
You're
away
a
from
woman. How do you explain that?
this. How do you, woman?
OMG, guys.
Right. Okay, you know what? This is the perfect time to say it, even though it's horrible. This is the perfect time to say it. Junior Sister Junior!
Oh no!
You forced me, Andres. You forced
No,
me.
I did not do anything, man. You
brought up
that
the
is
quote.
that is slander right there, man.
You brought up the quotes. Your fault.
What? God. So next panel to finally move on.
Alright,
Speaking of-
I'm gonna apologize for us hijacking your panel, but I think
Order, guys. Calm down here. Take some deep breaths, and then we'll move on to the final panel of the day for Friday.
Yes, which is
Okay.
4 p.m. in ballroom. No, not ballroom. The Kennedy Room. We have Kaiju Fans in Media, hosted by Kevin Derendorf. So it's funny enough. We were just lambasting Kaiju Fans. So kind of, it's good that we segue into this one. So I'm assuming that this is going to be a panel that's going to be focusing on the positive aspects of Kaiju Fans. People have actually made it in the industry and have made some sort of impact within the field of entertainment. At least that's what I'm assuming this panel is going to be about.
Yeah, and
Will Smith is a fan of Ultraman.
Yeah, and Del Toro's like a big guy into Super Ultraman, all this other stuff too.
Oh yeah, totally. I can definitely see this panel, easily bringing up Del Toro's as one of the major highlights. Tim Burton. Tim Burton is probably you can say he's a Kaiju fan.
Yeah, he is. I think he's like big in the cameras. Now that I think about it,
he reveres War of the Gargantuas. It's one of his favorite films.
that's true too.
Okay, I'm not sure if this is real, but I remember around the time the first Godzilla King of the Monsters trailer came out, Taylor Swift posted a picture of Mothra in one of the trailers in her Instagram story.
Huh. Maybe if someone could look that up.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's like real. I remember seeing something about that.
All right, well,
And Brad Pitt also likes War of the Gargantuas.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
that doesn't surprise me.
Steven Spielberg is another one.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that's very
especially
true.
Spielberg.
Yep, Steven Spielberg actually refused to watch the TriStar Godzilla film because he realized they were changing it to the point where it wasn't Godzilla anymore.
Oh wow.
That I always found interesting. Yeah, he told I think it was Time Magazine or USA Today, but yeah, he said flat out this is not the Godzilla that I grew up with, and I'm not even going to watch it.
Okay, I'm surprised that not more people talk about that. I mean, people talk about the Satsuma quote, but never Spielberg. Let's see. John Carpenter. He's a big time Godzilla fan.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Didn't he make like a fan film or something like
Yeah,
a Godzilla fan film?
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. Like, it was one of his very first projects, if I remember. He did a stop motion project on, I believe it was a Godzilla versus Gorgo film. He was big into Gorgo as well.
Ah, I see then.
I think Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman was a Godzilla fan too.
Oh, okay.
Well, which isn't surprising if you ever look at Big Adventure with that scene when they're attacking both studios.
Oh, that could be easily.
And he also has a couple of figures like somewhere in the movie.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that could easily have been attributed to Tim Burton, but yeah, it could be both things.
That's true too.
I can imagine Paul Rubens going up to Tim Burton. He's like, "Hey, Mr. Burton, would it be funny if we went through a Godzilla movie?" Like, why are you still in character?
But then he thinks about what he just said. My God, that sounds amazing. Let's do it.
True story. No, not really. Let's see. Next up, we got Saturday. So the first panel would be at 9 in the morning. In Ballroom 1, we got Summit Kaiju Creative Contest by a Mr. Souls.
Jeremy Souls, for anyone in the collecting community.
Okay. And let's see. So what would this Kaiju Creative Contest be?
I think it might be a photography themed contest, knowing Jeremy from what I've seen in the collectors groups and whatnot.
Huh, okay. So it's like people would take pictures of the figures in their collection?
X Plus specifically, I think, or something along those lines.
So would they like Photoshop like a background or something and make it look like a movie still or what?
Oh, actually that's I think a lot of something like along those lines, yes. And if you saw some of Jeremy's photography work, it would probably make a lot more sense.
Oh, okay then. So, all right. So I guess it's a matter of like who can make the coolest looking picture of their figures. Then, nice. That's interesting.
Okay. So I think Summit Kaiju actually has like their own little like Instagram comment bot or something like that. And I bring that up because I think like a couple of years ago when Yoshimitsu Banno passed away, one of my friends, Dillafellow, made a post about his passing, and Summit Kaiju left a comment saying "dope."
Are you sure that wasn't Bill Wurster?
Yeah, I was about to mention. Yeah, are we sure this wasn't Zazabar? But then again, did he say at the end? Because that's the real way you can tell that's Bill Wurster.
Was there a mad shill mentioned anywhere?
The in jokes keep piling on, folks.
Yes.
Oh, yep, there he is. He's still here.
And let's see. Someone on the chat named Andre Steele mentioned Friday night opening ceremony plus kids costume contest. Oh, that sounds like fun.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, those are a lot of fun to watch. I actually got to watch a few of those during the last two G-Fests.
Oh, that's nice.
Very creative costumes that people come up with.
Cool.
Nice.
And let's see. Matt Frank brought up when we were talking about Tim Burton, he said, well, it's one of Tim Burton's quote unquote favorites, but purely for ironic reasons, so I wouldn't count that. All right, fine. All right. And previously, when we were talking about Paul Rubens, he mentions, Mr. Rubens, this is a Wendy's.
And then he provided some context about the Jeremy Souls panel.
Oh, yeah, he said it's for Kaiju Summit. I think it's the contest winners' announcements for the contest he hold. Okay, so I guess the contest is like before G-Fest, and I guess he announces the winners within the panel itself. All right. Let's see. The other panel, we have a Philo Barnhart interview in Ballroom 2 at Saturday 9 a.m. I unfortunately am not familiar with this individual.
Yeah, same here.
Very prominent artist. One of the artists for the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla cartoon. From what I
nice.
Okay.
Interest
he quickly earned my respect.
Yep. Interest peaked.
Let's see. Next up in the candy room, we got Shigeru Mizuki and Gegege no Kitaro. Oh, I'm familiar with that name. Hosted by Joyce Boss. I'll admit that. I was going to say that is indeed a great name. Is this a Kitaro I'm thinking of? Let's see. So is this the musician? Or let's see. Or this? Yes, this is the manga. Okay, yes. I actually have a couple adult students who actually grew up with Gegege no Kitaro, and yeah, that's how I found out about this manga. It's like I think it's about a young boy with psychic powers who talks to spirits. And it's a manga that's from from 1960. So, oh yeah. So again, I'm genuinely surprised that there's a panel dedicated to this anime or manga franchise, at G-Fest of all places. So, I'm wondering if this is supposed to be like a franchise. It's like I'm trying to understand how it's connected to the wider G-Fest community.
Unless maybe there were some connections to the Godzilla series. Maybe he's done some mangas.
Or maybe it's the anime or maybe the movies or some sorts have been funded by Toho at some point.
Perhaps. That's a good point.
I mean, at this point, if there's having Gegege no Kitaro, then I'm assuming eventually Detective Conan or Lupin the Third will eventually get panels at G-Fest.
That's not surprising. Especially considering the creator, died just a couple of days ago, too. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something next year.
I see, then. All right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm curious to know, like, how this panel made it into G-Fest. Not saying that we're not allowed to have any panels like of its sort, but I'm just wondering how it ties into the overall theme of the convention. Yeah. Like this next panel up here, Mirror Man. How the heck does this connect to G-Fest?
I wonder why.
Apparently it's hosted by some person named Battalion, Batman, Battaglia.
That sounds like
Battaglia. Yeah. I want to hear this man. I want this man to get on the live stream right now and explain to me who the hell is Mirror Man and why should we care?
Yeah,
yeah.
He's over there somewhere. Piece of garbage that he is.
Yeah.
That lasagna.
Yes, but
yeah, this dude, this guy right here is probably from. It sounds like he's from some douchebag from Staten Island.
Screw you.
Who's this guy?
Who's this guy?
Who's this guy?
I want names.
But yes, and also I'm currently wearing my Mirror Man t-shirt, so in order to celebrate for today. But to answer your question, Andres, so Mirror Man was Tsuburaya's first non-Ultraman series that they created in order to cater towards a much more mature audience. And this was also, I believe, to be a plan to start a whole series of Mirror Man type characters. Basically, imagine if we existed in a parallel universe where it actually was a success, then we would have basically the Dark Tone Ultraman series. However, during midway through the series, due to competition with another tokusatsu series called Silver Kamen, the series had to be retooled to be more like an Ultraman clone, including the special task team called SGM, which were not as proactive, as we'll say, as the original SSP crew from the original Ultraman, but they were still fought against several alien threats. Think kind of like how the old military was in a lot of the older Godzilla films. And I'm going to be going through not just the 1971 Tokusatsu series, but a little bit of the mangas that predated it in 1969, the Reflex trilogy, which was made to reboot the series in 2006. Ironically enough, directed by I'm not getting the name correctly, and forgive me for this, but Kazuya Kanaka, who actually was the main director of Ultraman Nexus. And also, we're going to be diving a little bit into Mirror Knight, who, as we know, appeared in the Ultraman Zero movie, Revenge of Belia. And yeah, we'll pretty much go into that, maybe a little bit of the actors and some of the behind-the-scenes information, which I'm currently getting translations done as we speak.
Yeah,
I just want to say also, Andrew had a panel at last year's G-Fest about the superhero Olgon Bat, and that was an and you can find a recording of that on YouTube. It was actually a tremendously good panel. Andrew did a lot of tremendously detailed research, and it was basically like a big info dump on the entire history of the character. So if this panel's gonna be like anything like his panel from last year, you're in for a good treat.
Yes, thank you, Patrick. And I will say this: I think it actually might be more informative than I think the Olgon Bat panel was, because for one thing, I was able to watch Mirror Man and understand what the hell was going on with a lot of the episodes, but also I was able to find information. It was a lot easier to find, even through sites like Amazon.co.jp. So fingers crossed that we're able to find a lot. I'm able to find a lot of behind-the-scenes information, and I do promise you there will be some interesting tidbits of information that are going to be quite a shock, shall we say?
Nice,
excellent.
So if you heard Mirror Man, do you get 7 years of bad luck?
Unfortunately, well,
I'm sure his villains get 7 years.
That depends if he does the mirror spark in your mirror, then maybe.
All right.
Is that how he kills them?
Is it true that if you say mirror, if you look at the mirror at yourself in the mirror and shout "Mirror Man" 5 times, does he show up?
No. He'll only do that is if you look in the mirror and you do the pose like he does when he's transforming. You have to be like mirror spark and just fly, and you'll fly. You'll either fly into the mirror, probably get stuck there, or he'll come through the screen and try to kill you because he'll think you're an invader.
Is Mirror Man helpful for identifying vampires because they have no reflection?
Now I wish that there was a vampire episode now. Thank you, Patrick.
Oh, my God.
Now I wish that this was a prequel to Life Force.
Yeah, movie that was on Brandon Tenold's cult movie reviews.
Yes. Very good movie by Toby Hooper.
And looks like your translator and as well as a close friend of mine, Jonathan Diaz, is actually he was on the he commented a few times. He mentioned I actually like Mirror Man way more than any tokusatsu thing I've seen.
Oh, nice.
He said he had to watch a few episodes of it to get some context, I'm assuming. And he mentioned, I was just making that statement as someone who isn't into tokusatsu stuff, and thanks.
No problem, John. I'm really glad you were able to do the translations. And by the way, if you need more episodes, I can happily give you all the ones I have. I have the entire series.
Excellent. And hopefully he's still listening. If he isn't, I'll be sure to pass down the message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost forgot. Andre Steele mentioned Golden Bat is shown on the G-Fest channel during the convention.
Sweet.
Oh, really?
But
Are you referring to the movie, the Sonny Chiba movie?
Yeah, if you're referring to the Chiba movie, then that's one thing. If you're referring to the panel, that's actually interesting.
Let's see. Next up, we got a big one right here. We got the Akira Takarada interview in Ballroom 2 at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning.
Who?
I'm screwed.
He's this guy who was in a few movies about a giant lizard or something.
Giant radioactive dinosaur.
Come on, guys. Let's show some respect here.
Of course,
he was in a couple movies that didn't have a giant radioactive lizard. Okay, fine. You made your point.
Oh, I mean,
I know. I mean, I love Takarada, but still, he's gonna kill me.
This is his 4th appearance at the convention. So much so he's been given the honorary title of Godfather of G-Fest, and is actually officially entered into a partnership of sorts with the convention to help book guests, not just for G-Fest, but for other stateside conventions. So this man has a lot of credit in helping not just himself showing it, but also helping other guests, other actors, and so forth come to G-Fest and come to other American conventions. So
that's very good.
A lot of credit is deserved for Takarada-san, and he's still very active in Japan to this day, doing all manner of cool projects. Robert Scott Field talks about some of these in some of his Facebook posts. So if anyone's interested in knowing what Takarada-san's up to, well, just follow M11.
Yeah, actually, really briefly, Takarada was actually the main reason why Satsuma came to G-Fest. because he personally called him asking him to go in his place after he couldn't make it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also in terms of a recent project, Takarada is going to be, I believe, co-starring or at least guest starring in the upcoming Tokusatsu film, I guess you could say, The Great Buddha.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, which I think is going to be there's going to be something at G-Fest this year if we go with it.
There might, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And as for the panel lineup, usually for these type of interviews, they bring on Kaiju Cast host Kyle Yount, usually some other person, I don't know whom, but almost always will Robert Scott Field will be present as translator during the special guest sessions for the most part.
Okay, that's very good. Yeah, I have seen Kyle Yount at a few panels where he would interview the special guests. I think he did the interview for the Naoshima panel, or maybe that was someone else.
That was John interviewed Oshima-san last year.
Oh,
Actually, 2 years ago.
that was John DeSantis.
Wait, August Regone?
No, John DeSantis, the conductor.
John DeSantis. Okay.
Yeah, the conductor for Kaiju Crescendo this year.
I think that was John August Regone who was part of the interview panel with the Ultraman actor Bin Furuya 2 years ago. I think 2 or 3 years ago.
Yes, no, yeah, it was 2 years ago because that was celebrating the 50th anniversary of Ultraman.
Right. Okay. Let's see here. Moving onwards, we have in the Kennedy Room, collecting Godzilla movies on home video with Will Offutt and Michael Caleri.
That actually sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah. I'm sure there are a lot of VHS buffs in the Godzilla community that would like to hear about potentially maybe the multiple releases of Godzilla on VHS, because like during I think, I could be wrong here, but I believe during the 90s and 80s, like the Godzilla, like the distribution rights was like all over the place in terms of Godzilla movies. So you just had like VHSs left and right by like Family Video Entertainment or Scimitar Video or a whole lot of people. It was like the Wild West out there where it's like nobody knew who had the rights to what. So like everyone just pumped out whatever Godzilla VHSs they had their hands on.
Yeah, and plus bear in mind with the 1998 film, we were also able to get Sony doing the releases of a lot of the Heisei Godzilla films. So,
Oh yeah, they were on VHSs in America for a limited time, I think.
Yeah, they were, and that's how I was exposed to a lot of the Heisei Godzilla films. So, strangely enough, without that movie, I probably would have never known about the Heisei films.
Although I guess by Heisei you really mean 90s, since technically the Millennium films are
okay. Well, late Heisei films, like late Heisei films.
Like, I feel like as soon as
Anders, don't be that guy. Come on.
I'm just trying to say that technically the Heisei series never ended.
Patrick, to be fair though, you're defending the guy who refers to the 2001 suit as the Sokogeki suit as it is officially named, instead of just being the simpler guy.
I also just want to mention how there should probably be a museum dedicated to like every copy of Godzilla vs. Megalon on VHS, Betamax, or whatever, because there's so many of those. I remember seeing a picture of Godzilla vs. Megalon on Betamax, and the screenshot on the cover was Godzilla vs. Mecha Godzilla. Like,
yep, that sounds like
it's not even the same movie.
Like, wasn't there like a VHS of Godzilla vs. Megalon where it's like some weird green cartoony version of Megalon that kind of looked like the Trendmaster's toy?
Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah, I would say the best VHSs to this day that I've ever seen of Godzilla were the ones for Godzilla versus the Cosmic Monster and Godzilla versus the Sea Monster, where there was this artist by the name of Xena, or at least she left her name as Xena, and she made this like beautiful artwork of a green 90s Godzilla fighting both Ebra and a weird redesign of Mecha Godzilla. I'm not sure if either of you have ever seen any of you have ever seen these.
I have.
Yep, I've owned that.
Same here.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of which, Amandra, since we've mentioned the home video releases for Godzilla, I think we should probably at this point to give a little shout out to another fellow member of the SOS and a friend that you and I both know.
What?
I said Kyle.
Oh,
No,
Kyle, yeah, Kyle
Yeah.
Nova, yeah. Cal, yeah.
I thought you were saying, nah.
Yeah. I think we got cut off there, but yeah, he's a big time VHS collector. He goes out of his way to get like new movies and try to like transfer them into VHS.
Yeah, I commend him for doing that too.
And let's see, moving on ahead, we got at 11 p.m. in Ballroom 1, the Kaiju Kingdom podcast. Another like internet Godzilla entertainer that's getting their own panel, So Kaiju Kingdom, I believe I may have listened to them a couple of times before, but I'm not like a big follower of them. I think maybe they were the people who were there at the very weird Chayo Ultraman Hollywood panel, like that happened in 2015 or 16 or something like that. I could be completely wrong though.
The child panel, that was 2015, right? Or was it 16?
Yeah, they announced that they were going to make like new DVD releases of all the Ultraman shows.
Yeah, you're right.
And they ended up producing Jack All.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if Kaiju Kingdom really is connected to any of that, but yeah, that's cool. Not sure if anyone here listens to Kaiju Kingdom regularly.
Yeah. I'm familiar with them. Oh, sorry, continue.
I actually am friends with. I got to know them last year at G-Fest. I'm actually friends with Jessica Shang, and Chris Eaton, whom are the hosts of this podcast. I've listened to some of their past episodes. They actually did a two-part interview with Ricardo Delgado covering his work on the '94 American Godzilla and his work on Age of Reptiles. Something I highly recommend listening to if anyone gets the time to. And they also interviewed Matt Frank last year at G-Fest,
nice.
and I actually got to attend and document that panel, which is on my channel.
Cool.
Nice. Let's see. The next panel is a bit odd because it says guest interview number 1.
It might be for Shusuke Kaneko. Just speculating.
Yeah,
Right,
I'm guessing that too.
Yeah, the schedule could have been made before they got him on board.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking too. It's probably Kaneko-san. He'd be probably most likely to be just after Takarada-san to be interviewed.
Yeah,
Right,
there'll probably be an update of the schedule listing.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a huge panel that almost everyone's going to attend.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, considering that Kaneko's been involved in the in GMK as well as being the director of the Gamera trilogy and the Japanese Death Note films, it's going to be huge.
Oh yeah,
AKA the good Death Note films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you could be assured that I'm going to be like in the first row.
Andrew's gonna be salivating the entire thing.
Yeah. Oh no, that's so lie, because a little for any of our viewers out here who need a little information here. I am a big fan of Shusuke Kaneko's work. Like I'm personally speaking here, like he's a big idol for me. Like when it comes to filmmaking, storytelling, and just anything like that. Period. So hearing he's going to be at G-Fest is certainly like put a big smile on my face. And and a quote, Wayne's World 2 during that scene with Alice Cooper. Not worthy, not worthy. Yeah.
Let's see. Next up, we got ourselves the Prophecies of Nostradamus panel hosted by Chris Underwood. I'm assuming this is yet another anniversary panel.
I actually just watched that movie last month. Unfortunately, it was a bad quality rip, but it did have English subtitles. It's a wild film, man. It's okay. So I have her like mixed opinions on it, but they do pretty much but basically the consensus is that it's a little odd and in your face at times, but other than that, it's pretty entertaining, but still pretty wild.
I call it a fascinating mess, is what I would call it as. It's It's not a very well written movie. It's not an especially well made movie, but it's kind of the way it kind of falls apart on screen is kind of interesting to watch in that sense, and it also has an incredible score.
A fascinating mess, like the Godzilla anime.
No, that's not fascinating.
Oh yeah, that's a clusterfuck.
And one thing to note is that some of the shots in the Return of Godzilla 1984, are actually from Prophecies of Nostradamus.
Oh, stock footage.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next up is Sonorama and Kamishibai with Stan Hyde and Len Medlock.
Oh, I'm familiar with these two.
Okay. Well, so I quickly Googled Sonorama and Kamishibai, and I got a bunch of like the results showing these like paintings of various different monsters from Japanese movies, and even a few like Golden Bat posters.
Yeah.
I'm assuming these people were sort of like the Noriyoshi Orai of their time.
Well, to be more specific, Kamishibai is a form of entertainment in Japan. This is way before movies. Well, it was still the time during movies, but like this is a little bit bigger than movies were during the time period. And Kamishibai was basically taking a single image, creating a story out of it, and then a machine would bring up another image, and then it would they would continue the story. It was a form of paper theater. Like you guys remember a lot of not like a slideshow exactly. I mean, you could say that, but it was more like what's probably could put it. It was like the 1930s to 40s equivalent of those like little paper well, I forgot the name of it. Do you guys remember back in the 90s when you had those little things you put around your eyes, you click on, you see different images?
Yeah.
It was like a 90s, it was like a 40s
Viewmaster, yeah.
Viewmaster, thank you. It was like a 1930s and 40s equivalent of a Viewmaster. And they were very popular back then for kids, mainly for girls and boys, and also for adult stuff, because a lot of them catered towards a lot of war propaganda pieces, and also fantasy stories like Ogon Bat and several other characters that predated a lot of tokusatsu superheroes and a lot of regular superheroes.
That's very cool. I have seen these images floating around the internet forever now, so it's very interesting to know that these in these pieces of like promotional media do have like quite a lot of significance. And very glad that someone's taking the time to spotlight or highlight a lot of this beautiful artwork.
Spotlight, moonlight.
Yeah.
That was a meme. I don't know if you guys got onto that.
I'm very sorry. I'll play with you.
I had a feeling you're making a joke. I wasn't really sure, so I didn't feel like I should. I wasn't sure how to react to that one.
On job, man.
Let's see. Next up, we have also at 12 p.m. we have Dawn of the Monsters official panel with Rushdie,
like Salman Rushdie.
Yeah. I am not familiar with this, but if any of you guys know what this is, feel free to explain.
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Is Salman Rushdie, will the satanic verses be part of it?
Let's see. So next up, next panel would be Drawing with Matt and Hiroshi. Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, both of them make fantastic art, so it'd be cool to see these two do some what I assume to be a live drawing session for an hour. Let's see. Next up would be Heisei Gamera at 1 p.m. Ballroom 1.
And I've got the panel lineup for you guys here. Then in order: Alex Rushdie, Kevin Derendorf, Stephen Pazinski, Jessica Shang, and Alex Rushdie.
For the Heisei Gamera panel?
Correct.
Wow, okay, that's a huge cast to bring on board. we'll be interested to see like what each of them have to bring to the table for this panel celebrating the 90s era of Gamera movies. Unless if you want to be technical about the phrase Heisei, then they'd have to
we're gonna start this again, Andres.
Brave.
They're all in the 90s. It counts. It's Heisei.
The Heisei didn't end in the 90s, you idiots.
Shut
you
up.
fools.
We're still in the Heisei era.
No, we're not. We're now in the Reiwa
Yes,
era.
we are. No, we're not. The Reiwa does not start until May 1st. Damn it.
They just announced the official name. It hasn't actually happened yet.
10 days, guys, until this new Reiwa era begins.
Big dummy.
Official. Then
What kind of noob you think I am, guys?
So it is kind of impressive to think that technically Godzilla Planet Eater is by technicality the last Heisei Godzilla film.
Oh. That's a terrible way to end.
I mean, it's better than the
No, wait.
That's not saying much.
I was gonna say when does Godzilla come out, but no, that's way deep into May.
Yeah. That's
May 31st, guys. May 31st.
And plus,
Godzilla
that's
the
an American
Eater, more
movie.
like Godzilla the Heisei Eater.
Let's see. Next up, we got another guest interview. Wonder who this could be.
probably. I guess it's probably Peggy Neal.
Oh yeah, she's gonna be there as well.
I'm thinking either her or the daughter of Haruo Nakajima, because she's also going to be there.
Right. She's definitely had a lot of interactions with the Godzilla fan base. I'm assuming having to be like, she was usually like the in between person. I think.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, she usually accompanied her father to conventions in the United States. Yes.
Cool. Let's see. Next up, we have Discovering Godzilla with Scott Witherall, Chris Oglio, Martin Arlt.
Man, it's
Wait, Godzilla's real?
You didn't know Titan Goji?
Where's Waldo?
I had to.
You didn't know that the original movie was a documentary?
What? No one told me this.
You just now found out about it. Like it's been.
I'm very sorry. You see, when it comes to a certain age, when every kid gets old enough, their parents have to tell them, yes, Godzilla is real.
My parents never told me that.
I'm so sorry, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So just beware. He's probably going to attack your house sooner or later.
What's next? Santa isn't real.
I knew it.
Here's the thing, man. Godzilla's real. Santa isn't. I hate to break it to you, man.
Yeah, and neither is the Easter Bunny too. Yeah, and neither is the Easter Bunny too. And you think he's coming tomorrow? No, it's just your parents.
Or
you better watch out. You better not cry. Better not pout, because I'm telling you why. Because Godzilla is coming to your town.
And stomping it flat.
Yeah.
But before he does that, he's got to take down New Hampshire.
Well, at least we still have David Bowie.
I think Mr. Bowie passed away last
night.
Yeah, that's what.
So,
okay, anyway, I'm going to continue.
Yes, go ahead.
Right.
Next, at 2 o'clock for Ballroom 1, we have the Nessie panel by this Nunman guy, whoever he is.
Never heard of it.
Live stream.
Guys, I will do the introduction. I will take over on this one.
Go right ahead.
What makes you so special to introduce this panel?
My concept, my brainchild, all those commissions. I'll be taking the reins on this one.
Of course.
Saturday at 2 o'clock, Ballroom 1. I'll be presenting Nessie, the Kaiju that Hammer locked away. Hosted by myself, Greg Nunman, and joining me for my panel will be Samuel Eiler, John LeMay, Kevin Derendorf, and also fellow author scholar Justin Mullis. And as the title suggests, we are going to be covering a lost piece of film history from the 70s. a collaboration between the most unlikely of studios, Toho Studios and the English horror studio Hammer Films.
I'm honestly really interested in going to that one. I really want to like know more about what sort of happened that like led up to like this film not being made. Also, like a movie that is a co-production between Toho and Hammer. Like, who does not want that? Like, seriously.
Aww.
And I can only tell you there will be a lot to see here. A lot of new revelations about this film that were not known about, decades ago. I mean, exclusive storyboards, concept art, new revelations about the film's story and whatnot, and a completely translated set of magazine scans from Tokusatsu Hiho Volume 8 that are going to be provided courtesy of Facebook Monsterland member Michael Field. And also to supplement this, most of you gentlemen have probably already seen a good chunk, or actually all the current works, will be a fan art gallery / virtual storyboard of art depicting scenes from the film and also stuff inspired by the film. And in the chat, we have 3 of the contributors in question: Denny Roth, and Eric Borgia, and also Matt Frank. Those are 3 of the contributors.
And don't forget Shoma.
Yeah, Raph has got 3 pieces here as well.
3 pieces.
Yes, 3. One of which is depicting the prologue of the film, where Nessie gets mutated via exposure to a super steroid called Mutane 4, which is dumped into the lock when a truck crashes, and the compound seeps into a river, which then feeds into the lock. And this causes Nessie to grow supersized, and she breaks out, goes on a global high seas path of destruction, eventually culminating her going to the South Pacific, where she gets firebombed by the U.S. Air Force, igniting an oil spill.
Wait, okay, so basically Nessie took steroids? That monster just lost all my respect. That is not the way to go, man.
Something like that. A mutagenic compound, pretty much. We'll have more on this as once the translations are more complete, but one of the things that is translated is an actual full plot summary from at least one of the scripts for this film. There were several different drafts of this film written by a few different people. And the film special effects director Teruyoshi Nakano has some of the script drafts in his possession, and the other ones are in the Hammer Film archives in London.
I love Teruyoshi Nakano.
At De Montfort University, to be more exact. And my panelist John LeMay actually has a section on this film in his book he wrote on unmade monster films.
By the way, I just want to mention this, since you just mentioned the prologue for this movie. Just got to ask, like, how is it a lot of these people in monster films and horror films not have their driver's license taken away from them, since they always crash their trucks and lead to the monsters destroying cities? Seriously, horror guys, like, know who you're picking your drivers that night.
Well, to be fair to the guys in Godzilla Raids, again, those guys stole that truck. So
no, that's one thing. I understand those guys, but it's in any monster film, when it leads to an accident that leads to the monster coming to the city, it's always the guys who have the shitty license, who can't drive worth the crap, or are drunk, whichever.
On a serious note, the Nessie Toho Hammer co-production is, like, for me, that's one of the 2 big what ifs as far as unmade Hammer films go. The other being the adaptation of I Am Legend they were going to do sometime in the 50s or the 60s. So I'm definitely interested in seeing what you guys dug up about this film. So I'll definitely be there.
Yeah, totally, absolutely.
Oh yeah, I plan on showing up too.
Yeah, me too, because I've been following this project for a long time, and I've been wondering many things about it. And I can speak for both myself and Patrick here, being fans of cryptozoology and knowing about the Loch Ness monster. It'll be interesting to see what kind of information is brought up about this long lost film, and what it could or could not have done, like, for both Hammer and Toho during the time.
We'll be definitely covering that, and also covering cryptozoology in popular culture around that same period of time as well, and also maybe covering Nessie's other appearances in tokusatsu media and fiction in general, potentially. I'll have more of these details ironed out once we start working on our PowerPoint presentation and so forth. And also, a special note, I'll have a little gimmick to encourage attendance here. You guys probably have heard about what I'm talking about, but those who don't, I'm putting together an art book featuring all the commissions for my panel from from the myriad of artists that have already completed work and those who are also currently producing work for it. And it's already got a title, and it's got wonderful cover art by artist Emily Stepp, which are based on two very famous Loch Ness photos. Surgeon's photo from the 30s and one of the Robert Rhines photos from the 60s or 70s.
Nice. Very nice.
Not bad.
Looking
Are
forward
you guys going to talk about the Loch Ness horror as far as Nessie's other films?
to it. Ooh. Oh, God damn you, Patrick.
Of interest, of interest to anyone who's a fan of B movies featuring killer plesiosaurs, we may also talk about Legend of Dinosaurs and Monsters because John LeMay is such a huge fan of that movie.
So I've heard.
I will have a talk with him about that.
So I've heard.
Okay, but I guess shall we continue on to the next part?
I believe so. If you're ready, Greg.
I suppose I am. The next one at 2:00 in Ballroom 2 is a history of kaiju art panel hosted by acclaimed artist Bob Eggleton.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
Nice.
it makes sense to have none other than Bob Eggleton be the guy there, because would it be appropriate to say that Bob Eggleton was probably one of the first American artists to get famous for doing a lot of Godzilla stuff?
Partially, I would say, yes.
I'd say so.
I mean, I'm sure there's the Marvel Godzilla artist. No disrespect to him, of course.
Yeah, of course not.
Herb Trimpe.
Yeah, or Art Adams, who did I believe he did the majority of the Dark Horse stuff, right?
Yes, especially most notably the color special.
Right.
Mhm.
But yeah, I feel like when I think like old school Godzilla artists, like before the age of Matt Franks and Jeff Zornows, I would say Bob Eggleton was kind of like the first like big name that almost everybody knows about, or at least everyone recognizes his style.
Yeah, he was the innovator, if you want to call him that, like the original Matt Frank.
I would say like perhaps he was one of those first artists, at least. I could be wrong though, where he was one of the first American artists to like properly translate the designs from the movies perfectly into a 2D medium.
Yes.
I would agree to that. I mean, if any of us like were little kids and we bought like the G-Fan magazines with his cover art in it, like like it immediately drew you to just at least the covers, just for how well drawn they were.
Or if you got the Random House books.
Yeah, those Random House books, yeah. Or the film, was it Famous Monsters of Filmland covers?
Yeah, absolutely. He's done quite a few of them.
Yeah, I actually got like a poster of his Godzilla vs. Gamera standoff one.
I've got that on a t-shirt.
Nice. I think Bill also got one as well.
And Bob, of course, has done all manner of cover art for the Dark Horse run of Godzilla too.
Let's see. Denny said Art Adams did some work. Bob was doing art for Godzilla before then, I think, or about the same time. I do like Bob's art, but I think he has some flaws that glare through with almost every piece he does. I'm curious to know what those flaws, what are exactly those flaws are, Denny.
Yeah, what exact ones are you describing more specifically?
Maybe it could be a similar issue that like someone like why am I blanking on his name? The Alex Ross, where it's like these are more like where there's not whenever
I see what you're saying, overly stylized.
Not overly stylized, but like very realistic, almost picturesque, like statuesque, where it's like maybe. And Denny said better in person. Okay, I'm assuming like I've heard people complain about Alex Ross, his art, where it's like there's no sense whenever he's doing a poster, it's fine, but when he's doing a comic and where characters are like moving from panel to panel, there's no sense of movement. There's no sense of kinetic energy. Where some people would complain that his characters seem to stand completely still. And maybe that could be the case where a lot of his characters feel very static in both Alex Ross and Bob Eggleton. But again, I could be wrong, though. I'm just reaching out in the dark for why people might have a problem with that. Personally, I love that very ultra realistic, photorealistic style. And like you said in the comments, Greg, Alex Ross's art in Kingdom Come looks incredible. And in fact, Kingdom Come is one of my favorite comics ever.
Needs an animated movie made like stat.
It's going to be very hard. Yeah.
How the hell would you do that?
Like either you make like it kind of reminds me of like The Killing Joke, how they clearly did not have the budget to recreate the original comics art. So they try to go with this very cheaper version for the animated Killing Joke that's kind of looks like it, but kind of not. So either it's like if you do make the like someone like who was the name guy who did the Justice League: The New Frontier? Dane Cook? No, that's
No, that's the comedian.
I think it was Cook.
Yeah, I think it is David Cook.
Or Darwin. I think it's Darwin.
Darwin, yeah. So his art was like perfect for like 2D animation. For Alex Ross, it's like either you do something completely different to translate it, or CG animation. Maybe I don't know. That's a tough one. Maybe there's a reason why DC has yet to adapt Kingdom Come. Let's see. Anyways, coming on the next panel would be Kaiju versus Parody, hosted by an individual by the name of Professor Kaiju.
What?
I assume this is a panel talking about kaiju parodies.
Is that a name of parody?
I don't
Professor Kaiju?
Greg, you seem to know the majority of people here. Do you know who Professor Kaiju is?
He's a fellow YouTuber just like you, Andres.
Huh. Interesting.
Weird.
What's his real name?
Now that I'm gonna have to look.
I'm sure Professor Kaiju's not on his birth certificate, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I want to know, is Kaiju like in his birth certificate?
No.
What are you hiding from us, Professor Kaiju?
If that is your real name.
It's just a code name.
Of course. So
first name Professor, last name Kaiju.
So is it about things like is it about things like Death Kappa and those kind of things?
Yeah, I'm thinking, is this Death Kappa, the Monster X Strikes Back, Gahara, Raiga, anything like that?
And speaking of those two films, they're actually getting slated for a stateside release here.
Right, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, same. I'm especially excited for Raigo.
Yeah, courtesy.
Yeah, I would say Raigo is the much better movie in my opinion than Raiga.
Oh yeah, no arguments here.
Yeah. I mean, Raiga has some things that are worth watching, but I feel like Raigo succeeds at being a drama better than Raiga succeeds at being a comedy. But of course, yeah, they're apples and oranges.
Yeah.
Next up at 3:00, we got Godzilla King of the Monsters.
And it's missing the lineup, but I've got the lineup here.
Cool.
We got the guys from Dangerville on the panel: Alistair and Jacob, Nathan Marchand, Ira Treborn, and Miguel Barrasso. And a little special note: the Dangerville guys, Alistair and Jake, they're making their first G-Fest appearance this year as well. So let's give them a nice warm welcome on day one.
Woo! Oh yeah,
Q&A.
Yeah. Let's see. There is one more Godzilla YouTuber who will be making his first appearance at G-Fest, but I'll get to that later.
Yeah.
He's let's see. Yeah, I'm not surprised that, of course, there would be a panel talking about Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Yeah.
Just curious. I think I've asked you guys before, but I haven't asked Greg yet, but obviously, I understand that it's the big Godzilla movie. It's the biggest event for all Godzilla fans. So, of course, there's going to be a panel to talk about the movie after it comes out and discuss like the aftermath of it. I'm curious to know, did they? And I think they did the same thing for Shin Godzilla, but did they ever do this for any of the anime movies last year?
Yes. I do recall there being a Planet of the Monsters panel at G-Fest last year.
Okay.
Really? I don't remember that.
I don't remember that either.
Yeah, I don't think it had a whole lot of attendance, and there was one.
I wonder why.
Gee, that's not surprising.
And not only that, there was also another for Pacific Rim Rising.
You mean Pacific Rim? You mean Pacific Rim up yours?
Pacific Rim.
I've actually considered calling it that, but other people already called that, so I'm just going to call it Pacific Rim Rising.
In my case, meh, Rising.
Because of all that, I just never even watched it. Didn't even see it.
The more I think about that movie,
you don't want
the
to
worse
know.
it gets.
I think that there are some people out there who like it better than the first movie.
And I'm actually going to like the first movie better than the second.
Let's see. So next up would be the Kaiju Cast 10th anniversary talk show with Kyle Young. It's very awesome to hear from Kaiju Cast.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to that one.
I got to be. I actually was listening to that when it was live. It was a very cool experience.
Nice.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, Greg, were you there during the 2015 Kaiju Cast where they did the they voiced over the Marvel Godzilla vs. Avengers comic?
I wasn't. My first attendance was in 2017, but I did go to that one they did of the Dark Horse stuff. With Kyle, Stephen Schilling, and I think Keith Foster.
Yeah.
That was so hilarious.
Yeah. If you get the chance, yeah, about to say, if you ever get the chance to watch it, it's on their official channel. It's really funny.
Such dramatic reading and good voice acting.
Let's see. Next up would be, where am I? Yeah, Ready Player One, Anorak's Castle, hosted by Billy DeBose. I am a bit curious as to know what this is about.
Yeah, same here.
This is a panel about the movie Ready Player One, similar to DeBose's previous panel about Zone Fighter. Or is this like a game show, a trivia question thing? Like,
yeah,
the subtitle is it does have me a bit confused.
Yeah.
Let me look that up. See if maybe that might mean of any.
Because Anorak, that's the name of the avatar that the main person who created the Oasis in the movie made. Was it James Halliday? That was James Halliday's avatar.
Yeah.
And Anorak's Castle was the place where the climax of the movie took place in. Yeah. But yeah. I guess anyways.
Right now,
yeah,
moving on.
Yeah, we got ourselves another Godzilla's Revenge panel, this time hosted by the dynamic duo of Gajicheski and Rifle.
Mm-hmm. I'll be there at that one.
Yeah, I'm definitely very excited to hear their opinions on this movie, and it's actually quite a shame that these two didn't do a commentary for the Classic Media DVD, because it was just like this one guy who just showed up for that DVD and that one alone.
Yeah,
if any of you guys remember, yeah.
Really?
Richard Busateri did the commentary track for Godzilla's Revenge.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. He did.
I mean, I'll give him credit for trying, but he was clearly no Steve Rifle or Gajicheski.
It felt more like a live description. Like, now the boy opens the chest.
Yeah, he was describing what was happening.
You know, I will say this, actually, Ed Gajicheski was the guy who made me stop and reevaluate Godzilla's Revenge and sort of rethink how I approached the movie. Because for the longest time, I was part of the bandwagon on that film. Like, it's the worst piece of shit ever made kind of thing.
Yeah. Like, fuck that movie. Oh, fuck footage.
Yeah. But then I read Ed's analysis of it in his unfortunately very obscure book, The Illustrated Encyclopedia of Godzilla, which made me think, hey, you know what? Maybe there's more to this film than I thought growing up. And it inspired me to watch it again with a new with a clean slate, and it made me reevaluate the film and see it in a totally different light. So I would actually encourage anybody who has a very negative view on that film probably should attend this panel, because they can probably explain to you, a lot of the like nuances and context of what Honda was going for with that film. And I think I think you would come to agree that it's even if it's still not your cup of tea, it really isn't the worst the franchise has to offer.
Oh yeah, I'm totally with you on that. Once I saw what Honda was going for in Godzilla's Revenge, I definitely started to appreciate it some more. And when I showed it to my roommate, as well as every other Godzilla movie, he actually ranked it as his third favorite Godzilla movie.
Wow.
Because of like all the context behind it and what was going on.
It's funny you mentioned that too, because I second that, because I actually recently watched Godzilla's Revenge not too long ago, after not seeing it for about 10 years at this point. Been a full 10 years since I last saw that movie, and I took Rifle and Godziszewski's context into the movie, and I ended up enjoying it. And it's kind of weird because how I felt of it as a kid, because as a child I actually liked the movie for a lot of the reasons that I think a lot of people who do like the movie end up doing, because it has a very strong anti-bully message and such. Then, of course, I then hated it during my high school years because the internet told me to. Then, after rewatching it, like, not only did I feel those forms of nostalgic memories again from watching as a kid, but also I began to appreciate it, knowing what Honda's intention was and all the creative decisions he wanted to go for that movie.
Yeah, for me, because my first exposure to that film was it came in a bundle pack with the Raymond Burr version of the original Godzilla, Mothra vs. Godzilla, Terabaki Godzilla, and Rodan. And so here you have these four relatively serious, action-packed, destruction-packed, spectacles. And here's this film about a little kid about fantasizing about giant monsters. And it was the black sheep of the group, and it was
that didn't help matters either when it comes to American.
It wasn't what I wanted or expected from Godzilla at that point in my life, and so as a result, I was just like turned off from it, from the start. And then, of course, the internet came along, and well, it didn't come along, but I became more exposed to it, and that's when I realized, that there was a huge, like, unanimous, verdict on the film, and that just, encouraged me to go along with that line of thinking. But then you grow up, and then you reevaluate the film, and you look at it in a different light, and it's not one of my all-time favorite Godzilla films, but it's a film that I think gets a lot more hate than it really deserves, because there is a lot of really intelligent and really well done stuff in that movie. And I do think Ichiro is one of the most interesting characters in a Godzilla film. He actually has a full character arc, frankly. He's one of the few.
Yeah.
And I don't think the film and I don't think that it celebrates juvenile delinquency like some people interpret it as. I don't see them that way at all, frankly.
No, it doesn't. If anything, it's a little bit cynical if you want to like a little bit about that and like some of the decisions that you would make and how smart you got to be with it.
All Ichiro does is just say, I'm done being bullied. I'm not running away from you anymore. That doesn't say to me, I'm gonna start terrorizing the town or whatever.
Now I want to imagine though what that film would look like. Ichiro, after dealing with all the bullying, he just becomes like a maniac, just destroying the city.
Ultraman Ichiro, except he's evil.
My God.
Okay, I will say this. If there was one thing I would change in that movie, I would change his caregiver from a toy maker to a movie theater manager. So that way he can pretty much give Ichiro access to all these Godzilla movies that were out at the time, just to have an excuse for the stock footage instead of just cause.
Yeah. Yeah, and I were to say one thing I would have liked would have maybe make a change was definitely all that for the stock footage, because despite I can still appreciate the movie even with that, without that, but still that stock footage did get in the way for me enjoying it more.
I do think it's better integrated than what Noriaki Yuasa did with the Gamera films, where Yuasa would just play 15 minutes of stock footage, non-stop.
Yeah, that's true.
At least here it's integrated with the live action footage of Ichiro and Minya. It's integrated with occasionally with some new footage as well, and they also pare down the original scenes. They don't run forever and such. And
that's true.
I think it's a more resourceful way of doing stock footage than the Gamera versus Virus thing of let's watch 15 minutes of Gamera's past via stock footage.
Yeah.
Yep. There's a reason why Braden had to tone that down for our MST3K
Yeah,
project.
Science theater.
And it was for the better. Because from what I remember, in the American cut of Gamera vs. Beerus, the stock footage sequence is 25 minutes long, not 15.
Yeah, that's true.
God.
That's true.
Oh my god.
And I watched the U.S. version in preparation for our riffing of it. What a horrible mistake that was. 20 straight minutes of stock footage.
Yeah,
I
and
guess
yeah,
this
it's
is
not that in a narratively engaging way. It's literally, hey, let's watch an effects reel of Gamera's past.
I guess they thought Americans hadn't seen the first 3 movies yet.
Don't bring that, Andres. You can't use that excuse because at this point, I'm pretty sure people left that theater just to search for those movies.
Okay, so
All right, what's next on the schedule?
Yes. Let's see. We got ourselves at 4 p.m. in Ballroom 2 music videos. I'm assuming this is just somebody playing video files of certain, like the Godzilla. Would this be like the Godzilla equivalent of AMVs for anyone who's been around YouTube since the early days, or is this going to be like a legit like music videos with elements of monster stuff in it, like Beastie Boys Intergalactic music video?
One music video I think is really cool is the music video for People Vultures by King Gizzard and the Blizzard Wizard, I think it was called.
I like that name.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool music video. It's got some pretty neat low budget tokusatsu elements to it.
Ooh, does anyone remember the Powerpuff Girls music video?
Yes, I have it on my computer.
Nice. I better see that at this panel. I don't know if this is official or this is just like fan made stuff.
Yeah. One music video I kind of want to be at the panel is, okay, I forgot his name, but he did a music video for the Young Gary remake.
Mm-hmm.
And also,
I think I know which one you're talking about. Is it the one with the metal version of Young Gary's theme?
It's like some like K-pop thing, and actually has some of the unused tokusatsu footage, and also fun fact, the singer actually got exiled from South Korea because he avoided mandatory military work.
Whoa!
Yeah, they have that in Korea. Yeah.
Damn.
So, yeah.
Yep, if you're a South Korean citizen, military service is required for you if you're a man.
Ouch. And let's see. The last panel of Saturday would be the Art of Kaiju Writing featuring Neil Ribe?
I don't even know, honestly, either. I think Ribe is probably what makes most sense to me.
So is he a novelist like Matt Denian?
Yeah, he's an author.
Oh, okay.
And a frequent contributor to G-Fan magazine.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
And he's also an artist too.
Huh.
Okay.
So he made a book. The first result I see on Amazon is I Shall Not Mate.
Yeah, that's his first published book, but he's written a lot.
Interesting title.
That's the title. It's
basically a Rodan-esque story, from what I understand.
Huh. Okay.
That's definitely an eye-catching title right there.
Yeah.
This isn't the first time he's had this panel at G-Fest, actually. My friend Sam went to his kaiju writing panel last year to get temps on writing his own potential works of kaiju fiction.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So this one's very important for those who want to get into writing kaiju fiction.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's definitely a good thing. We definitely need more people to show others, or inspire others how to get into writing. Definitely need more original stories out there.
Yeah, and I remember one that actually, Andres, you and I went to was the one with Matt Denian and Chris Martinez when they did their version of the art.
Yeah, and they had like another guy with them who's also a writer.
Yeah, I forgot his name, and I apologize for that. But I think he's a
Right.
good friend with Matt Denian.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, there definitely seems to be a market for this kind of thing, especially in this day and age. So,
Yeah.
let's see.
I guess moving on to Sunday now.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like we got some. Oh, okay. Looks like you're already already responding to those messages, Greg. Let's see. So moving on to Sunday, the first panel. This one's a rather interesting one. I'm very curious about what this is. So this is called at 10 p.m. Ballroom 1, Women of Kaiju Fandom.
Women.
What are those? No. Be as mature about this as possible. Not.
Regarding this one, I actually know some of the panelists involved with this one.
Okay, because that was my biggest question. It's like the title itself is so vague. I'm curious to know what exactly do these people do? Are these people?
Yeah, what is this about? I'm curious.
Well, I can actually somewhat answer that. This is basically about female kaiju fans, and there's a lot more to it than this. But it's about women in the kaiju fandom. Representation, and treatment. It's a pretty broad topic, really.
Right.
Okay.
So, would you mind telling us who these panelists are?
Well, some of them I know for sure. Not fan would be Christine Champagne, Morgan Frank, the wife of Matt Frank, and there'll be some other. I think Jessica Shang is also going to be on the panel too. But
okay.
I don't know everybody on hand, but those are three that I know for certain are going to be on the panel.
Okay. Are any of these accomplished artists or musicians, YouTubers? Anybody of any special notoriety?
Jessica is one half of the Kaiju Kingdom podcast.
Okay, podcaster. Okay.
Christine is a prominent collector in the community.
Okay.
X Plus collector. She's actually got her own YouTube channel just now, Gojira Girl. So please subscribe to that channel if you get a chance.
Oh, this is that Alyssa, right?
That's two different gals here. Christine,
two different Goji girls. Okay.
Alyssa Mitchell, Alyssa Goji Geek.
She's got Goji Geek, right? Her name is Goji Geek. Okay, sorry, got confused between the YouTube names there.
Well, she'll probably not be making a convention appearance until potentially 2020, all depending on her military deployment.
Okay.
So forth. But this Women in Kaiju Fandom panel should be a very interesting panel to check out.
Yeah. From what you've been mentioning, it looks like these women are definitely of very different sort of backgrounds and do make very interesting contributions to the Godzilla community. At first, I was very curious because, again, the vagueness of the title here. I was thinking, are these women that are just they're kaiju fans, but they happen to be women, or are these women who have made a name for themselves within the community for one reason or another? And it looks like it's definitely the later as opposed to the former, and it'd be very interesting to see their perspectives on the fandom, given how it's mostly a male-dominated, not male-dominated, maybe that's a poor choice of words. I would definitely say the majority of fans here are definitely males, so it would be interesting to see their perspective on things, given their very different backgrounds and contributions to the fandom.
And something that might be discussed is the treatment of female fans in the community, which has not always been positive. Sadly, I have come to learn.
Yeah, would you say that's the case for almost every fandom? That's mostly male dominated.
Well,
to be fair, though, fandoms don't usually treat each other well, regardless of sex.
That is true. Yeah, I've gotten my fair share of heat.
Yes, some fandoms, however, are 10 times worse than others. Though I'll just tell you that right now.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, do we need to start running off a rogues gallery of the fandoms that have the absolute worst? Creepos and fanboys and legit pervs and whatnot.
We'll definitely be here all day if we do that.
Yeah.
Well, I think the Sonic fandom might have some.
Oh no! I would definitely say that the Gundam franchise fandom is definitely a lot more eccentric and more obsessive than the Godzilla fandom. Given my experience, my limited experience with them.
Yeah. Greg, don't you dare remind me of my pain in the Sonic fan base.
I actually, I know. Yeah, Denny, I know, right? I've seen how Sonic fans have acted sometimes.
Sometimes.
I've seen how the worst. I've seen some of their worst examples, and I've seen some of that in the Dragon Ball community. Just dumb idiots and so forth. Who don't even get their basic facts right. I mean, it's
and then
crazy.
Denny mentioned, do they like Mothra because they women? And then Denny said, "Hey now, you're not wrong."
You're not.
So I will be personally honest. The Godzilla fan has gotten a lot better in recent years. I will I'll give credit for that in terms of accepting, women, in the women and minorities and so forth. A good friend of a mutual friend of ours, Donnie Winter, being in the LGBT spectrum, has faced his share of harassment and discrimination from some of the so-called gatekeepers of the community, that really like to have the fandom be consisting of only certain types of people and whatnot. And I mean, the Godzilla fandom isn't the only one with these gatekeeper personas. You see these a lot in comic book fandoms like with Marvel, DC, and even manga communities, I would imagine too.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
pretty much like
the thing is, the fandom is made up of people, and people come in a wide variety, and the bad ones usually the biggest impressions, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah. And is like we mentioned before, this is the case with a lot of fandoms. The Godzilla fandom certainly is no exception.
Yeah.
It's kind of these reasons why I don't particularly like, as much as I enjoy being a part of the Godzilla fandom, it's kind of this reason why I don't really interact a whole lot with the fandom. Most of my time, I love enjoying this stuff with my close friends, like you guys, especially, doing these sort of things with you guys is something I enjoy doing more than just like throwing myself into a group of strangers and seeing who's cool and who isn't. It's like I spend most of my time just kind of like viewing stuff from a distance while just enjoying, kind of maybe for the most part, ignoring all the shenanigans the fandom might be up to and just like enjoying what I love doing with you guys, with my personal friends. Thank you for proving my point, Titan Goat.
No problem.
All right. So next panel.
Yeah, I would say it would be interesting to see how this Women of Kaiju fandom how that panel will turn out, and maybe whether or not it will convince more females to enter the fandom. But who knows? Like I said, I don't pay attention to it. I just stick to the guys I already know.
I think the big takeaway in this panel is that it's okay, to be a female, Godzilla fan, because a lot of, people like to say, oh, you can't, be a fan of, giant monsters if you're a girl, stuff like that. But this panel, I think one of the goals of this panel will be to, encourage, potential female fans to say, hey, it's okay to be a Godzilla fan. It's actually rather cool. It's rather awesome. That's the message that Alyssa, has in a lot of her videos for female fans. And I think this is going to be on full display here.
I wonder if this is like the equivalent of like a male My Little Pony fan. Some like one gender or a person of one particular gender enjoying something that's primarily aimed at the opposite gender.
I would say that's a pretty good analogy there. Because a lot of male My Little Pony fans, I imagine, get a lot of flack for just, liking something that's, aimed at, young audiences.
I mean, I don't think I would make that comparison because there are several Godzilla movies that do have like female leads, like Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, where you have Yumiko Shaku as Akane, and also I personally I don't think I would say that Godzilla is made for like strictly like a more like male demographic, because it did start off as like this metaphor for atomic bombs and whatnot.
Right. And that's something that's like aimed at like a wide general audience, perhaps, most likely.
Right. Yeah. I'd say it's more for a general audience.
Okay. I'm just curious because I know like when it comes to entertainment, a lot of like these like Hollywood, maybe in Hollywood, I'm not sure about Japan, but a lot of people, Hollywood executives tend to have like a specific target demographic in mind when they're making this sort of entertainment.
Well, I think actually
that's understandable.
I think you're half right, honestly. I think the proper word is that it's made for a general audience, but it's generally picked up by the male audience. Is probably the best.
Yeah, that's a very good way to say it, because you could also say that about a lot of franchises where they're made for a very general audience, but very specific form of gender, like, is the one that really picks up on it.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree to that.
Yeah, it is a very interesting conversation, but maybe that's something for another time then, maybe.
Yeah. But, moving on to the next panel, I guess.
We got ourselves another guest interview.
Might be Peggy Neal.
Yeah, or maybe Oshima, since she's going to be here this year.
Oh, right.
It could be a second interview with one of the previous guests. I know when Takarada was at G-Fest in 2010, he did a couple of interviews throughout the weekend. So it could be a second interview with somebody.
True.
Maybe Peggy Neal's interview, perhaps.
Could be.
Let's see. Okay, in the Kennedy room, we have How to Draw Godzilla with Barnhart and, of course, Matt Frank.
Sorry, who is Barnhart?
Philo Barnhart.
Oh, okay. I think we talked about him earlier before in this live stream.
And I've got some news concerning him specifically in the dealer's room.
Oh.
Okay.
He will be having a table in the dealer's room at the Silver Phoenix table. His art was first displayed during the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla series. Just stop in and say howdy. When you make your round in the dealer's room.
He was a Hanna-Barbera artist, right? Got it. Okay, so we got both him and Eggleton. I'm assuming Eggleton's going to be in the dealer's room as well, right?
Yep, as always.
Okay, it's rather interesting that several of the more like not established, but a lot of the more high-profile artists would be getting tables in the dealer's room as opposed to the artist alley, but. Then again, I can see why, given how the dealer's room is significantly larger and has more of an audience than the ever so shrinking artist alley.
And on a other little side tangent here, one of the vendors at dealer's room this year is a returning person of interest, Miniko Kawakita, the daughter of the late special effects director Koichi Kawakita.
Oh, nice!
Oh, wow!
I actually saw her at G-Fest last year.
I did not know she was at G-Fest last year.
I had heard her name being announced, but I didn't even actually pick her up in the at all. So I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for her specifically this year. And now knowing that she has a table, I may have to actually go check her table out and maybe buy some of her fares, perhaps, to show my support for her.
Oh, cool.
I actually got like a little got a couple of film cells from Godzilla against Mechagodzilla and King Kong versus Godzilla from her table at G-Fest last year.
Nice.
And speaking of her, around the time that her father passed away, she actually had some very limited edition figures that were like a certain amount were made commemorating one of the Heisei era Godzilla films. Those were quite cheap from what I understand. I think some of you guys might have more info about this.
Okay. Let's see. Next up, we have at 11 o'clock in Ballroom 1, Kaiju Video Game History with Rushdie.
Yeah, this one's pretty straightforward. It's a history lesson on Kaiju video games from Rampage, Godzilla, you name it.
If we better talk about War of the Monsters.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. That's for sure. Rampage, you can't have monster video games without the Rampage series in there either.
Yeah.
Does anyone remember an old PS3 game called Eat Them?
Yes, I've
heard of it. I've heard of it.
Okay, yeah. That one rarely gets brought up, so
yeah.
But
will it mention Colossal Kaiju Combat?
Oh.
I think they will probably cover Colossal Kaiju Combat as an example of a game that didn't get made, perhaps. Or if they cover it, Primal Rage 2. That's a game I think they should definitely.
Primal Rage. Yes.
Yes.
I do wonder if they'll also talk about my friend Garayan's game, Daikaiju-fanboy, which is sort of like he's got like 2 games under that title in the woodworks. He's got like a RPG game as well as like a side-scrolling pixel game. Let's see. Moving on, we got toy/model photography with Dopeco and Hyde.
Yeah, David Eric Dopko, prominent photographer and collector in the community, with Stan Hyde, who's also a very prominent guy in the model community.
Cool. Stan Hyde, I've heard the name before.
He's been involved with G-Fest for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's one of the behind-the-scenes guys. He's a great guy. Very good guy.
And he's the administrator and founder of Facebook Monsterland.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got the chance to talk to him a little bit last year after the Ogon Bat panel because he was interested in it. And when I got the chance, finally, or it was either him or Mark Justice, but like I think it might have been Stan. But like we were just talking a little bit about Ogon Bat and like how fun like anime is and such, and like he's a very nice guy to talk to.
Yeah, likewise. Stan, I've talked to him a few times. The guy's knowledgeable, very chill guy. He does a great job managing Facebook Monsterland. He's very good. He's good friends with many of the people from past G-Fest. The guests, I mean.
Next up, we got Space Godzilla, 25 years.
Wow, it's already been 25 years.
Yeah, wow. 20, yeah. And for the panel lineup, it's Colin McMahon, Ira Trayborn, and Andrew is on the panel, and along with Jeff Horn.
Of course, because Andrew's one of the only people in the world who likes that movie. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, that's the guy who loves Shin Godzilla.
At least I'm not alone. No.
Neither am I.
Except more of us still exist.
As the honors is part of the majority in that case, Andrew. You're part of the minority.
Hey, you're part of that too, so don't leave me hanging, Patrick.
What?
You're a part of that too, so don't leave me hanging, Patrick.
Hey guys, it's okay. I happen to be a huge fan of 2 movies not a lot of people like.
Are they Attack on Titan?
How would you know?
Okay, Titan.
I'm kidding, of course. People are free to like and dislike whatever they like or dislike.
Unless it's our case, then we're officially wrong.
Right.
Yeah,
We're wrong. We are wrong to each other.
Yes, like we know that you are wrong.
Yes, we're all equally wrong.
You're wrong.
Wrong.
Fake fans.
Fake fans. Vague fans.
Fake
Kevin
fans.
Spacey. Wrong.
I was about to go and play the real soundbite of that just for laughs.
Let's see. So yeah, that's really awesome. Andrew, you got to be on another panel this year.
Yeah, especially on a movie that's very nostalgic to my heart, and I hope to maybe at least bring up some behind the scenes details, which will be interesting.
Oh yeah, I am curious to know what sort of things led to the final result that is Godzilla versus Space Godzilla.
I will say this: what I did discover was pretty interesting. Okay.
Let's see. Next up at 12 p.m. Sunday, Ballroom 1, we got awards ceremony. To be honest, I'm going to be honest, I've never attended any of these things, so I don't really know what goes on here.
It's very straightforward. This is where the guests get recognized, and they receive their Mega Skyscraper awards, among other things.
Okay.
I've been to several of these. It's a very cool spectacle. JD Lee's usually makes a few speeches. The guests each give an address. It's basically what it sounds like.
Okay.
Yeah,
like almost like a fan equivalent of the Oscars.
Pretty much exactly, yes.
Huh?
Especially when the guests receive their Mangled Skyscraper awards.
Yeah, and I believe August Ragone received one in 2014, 15.
I
If
believe
I'm not mistaken.
you might have. Some guests have actually received it multiple times, actually.
Yeah.
Ah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. For this year, for last year, Megumi Odaka, Ken Satsuma, and Keizo Murase all each received a Mangle Skyscraper Award.
Nice.
Let's see. Moving up ahead, we got ourselves the Kong Unmade panel with John LeMay.
Ooh, is that going to cover like maybe the
Yes.
lost Kong movies from the 30s?
It's covering all of the unmade King Kong films.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that one.
Every single one. He just published a new book covering this very topic.
That is very cool to hear. Yeah, because he has put out, for those who don't know John LeMay's work, he's definitely put out a lot of interesting books that compile a lot of information on these lost or unmade or works related to the giant monster subgenre of film. Let's see here. So after that, we got ourselves Alien Invasions with Scherschel and Hensley.
Yeah, the Brian Scherschel, the guy currently running Kaiju Vision Radio podcast.
Okay. So I'm wondering if this guy, if this is meant to be like a panel focusing on like alien invaders in Japanese media.
I think it might be centered around the aliens from the Godzilla series, maybe expanding to other Toho films, but I think it's most definitely Toho related alien invasions. Mostly Godzilla centric, if I had to guess.
Because if he ever went into Ultraman, they'll have a field day with that.
Of course, Ultraman himself is an alien. The monsters he fights, most of them are
aliens. Yeah,
Hey,
especially if we're talking about Ultra 7.
Hold on. I thought Ultraman was a robot.
No, obviously he's a teenager in a mech suit. You big dummy.
Another inside joke.
Robot, right?
Obviously, he's Iron Man.
Like Iron Man.
It's like Guyver, but a robot.
I'm sorry, continue. I just had to do that.
Yeah, another inside joke.
It's like Kamen Rider, except he shoots lasers from his arms.
It has just about as many key attacks and transformations as a Saiyajin in Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Some incarnations, anyway.
Let's see. At 1 p.m., we got ourselves Piano Performance by Reiko Yamada.
Mm-hmm. She is a former student of Akira Ifukube's. And she's a classically trained pianist who lives in Chicago and who knew Ifukube and a lot of other Japanese composers very, 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 very well. She studied with him in the 1980s when Ifukube was the president of the Tokyo College of Music, and she became very close to him and his wife, and she spent a lot of time with him. And she's actually performed she's performed his classical piece. I think it's called Rhythmika. I can't remember the name. Eric would know the name of it off the top of his head, but it's a very rapidly paced, hard to perform piano piece that Ifukube wrote, and she's performed it in America. She's performed it in Japan several times. She's an incredible musical talent, and as I said, she knew Ifukube personally and very, very closely. And so she's going to perform on the piano at G-Fest this year.
Nice. Has she composed any movie scores or any for anything?
She's not a composer. She's a musician.
Oh, just a musician. Okay. Interesting.
And if I had to wager, I think Reiko will probably be present and potentially performing at Kaiju Crescendo, though I can't say for 100% certain.
I don't think she is. I don't think she is. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
Well, we'll have information on that when John DeSantis starts with the latest round of updates and whatnot. So
she did help out with one of the past what's it called? One of the past concerts. Ifukube What's that?
It's Ifuke 100 and Symphonic Fury. I think it was one of those two.
Yeah, she helped out by showing what she did not perform in the concert, but she showed the pianist some of Ifukabe's techniques of how to do things. Because Ifukabe would oftentimes play around with how things were done with the piano. Like here's an example for you guys. In Destroya, for the Requiem piece where Godzilla dies, it's more talk about that part at the beginning.
Yeah.
That was
weird string thing. Yeah,
that was actually performed by opening the piano so that the strings are all visible, and taking a coin and just running it all across the strings like that. That's how they created that.
Oh,
Wow.
That wasn't performed with the keys. That was performed with a coin in hand on the strings, going. And
he's like, watch this sexy riff I'm about to perform. Takes out the coin pick.
Yeah, it's like you're playing a guitar with a piano.
Yeah. Let's rock.
Tenacious D in the Pick of Destiny, anyone?
Oh boy, somebody had to drop Tenacious D in here at some point.
Of course.
Yes.
Oh, if I also
I
made
do not need a flashy keyboard. My coin is fucking powerful.
Who remember the greatest song in the world? Yeah, no. This is a tribute. All right.
So I guess moving on, we got ourselves the Latitude Zero panel with the legends, of course, Ed Godziszewski and Steve Rifle. Latitude Zero being a rather, I would say, underrated gem of a movie. Given I don't know about you guys, but I always get the feeling that Latitude Zero is often overlooked among Godzilla fans, especially like the same fans who would probably be more familiar with stuff like Atragon or Frankenstein versus Baragon, as opposed to something like Latitude Zero, because there's still monsters in the movie, but no giant monsters. And it's quite a unique, interesting piece of media, given how it was like
Romero's in it, hamming it up.
Yeah, you got Cesar Romero here, and you got an English-speaking Akira Takarada.
Yep.
Yeah, the whole thing was shot in English, and all the Japanese actors had to what's the word? They had to phonetically remember their lines. So it's like they're speaking English, but they have no idea what they're saying.
At least it isn't as bad as in Biollante.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. That was
stop the Japan from producing any more of that.
But those cells would be mere trash if it wasn't for you providing me with your scientific research.
History. A quick little crash course on the history of not so great dubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some films though actually do have some pretty decent English dubs though. I
will give you this. Even to this day, at least as of 2016, they still cannot find decent English speaking actors.
Yeah.
I can agree with
Foreign
that.
or Japanese.
Are you serious?
I just kept thinking, this poor woman. Here's a little bit of interesting trivia. So when I was when my students would ask me what I thought about Shin Godzilla, I would always comment about how bad the English was spoken in it, and they are not aware that English is being poorly pronounced. Kind of similar. Yeah. Funny enough, whenever they would see a Japanese performer in a Hollywood movie, they would mention how their Japanese does not sound natural at all.
Oh yeah, when Sean Connery made his film Rising Sun, which was set in Japan, and he spoke Japanese, that just got a lot of hoots and hollers from the Japanese audience at that time.
So it goes both ways. We suck at having natural sounding Japanese actors. They suck at finding naturally sounding English speaking actors.
Yeah, I actually remember seeing the Honest trailer for Godzilla 2014, and when the guy was talking about Bryan Cranston's character, he mentioned that his wig was about as good as his Japanese.
Yeah.
Well, can you blame the guy? He was too busy cooking meth to properly speak Japanese.
He's too busy memorizing horrible lines like something started talking, and I mean talking.
You're lying. You're hiding.
I like it. I love him as much as everybody else does, and he is one of the best things about that movie. And with limited time he has, but there are some lines that even he couldn't save in that thing.
Yeah.
And going for the comments, it would appear that Denny has managed to bring to life the 20th completed Nessie commission for my panel.
Sweet.
Oh my god.
Nice.
Oh, Jonathan mentioned, Lucy Lee. I think
you might say Lucy Liu. I think.
I'm thinking Lucy Liu. Yeah, Lucy Liu and Uma Thurman were terrible in Kill Bill with their Japanese. And I will say, Jonathan Diaz is probably like the most fluent Japanese speaker I personally know who isn't Japanese himself.
Oh, hold on a sec. I think he's actually not misspoken. Actually, never mind. Never mind. I'm just trying to. Never mind here, guys. Going on track here.
Never mind. Just ignore the host.
Ignore the host.
Let's see. Or even like I was gonna say like
Boom,
I remember when. What?
And the completed commission. I'm about to bear witness to what Denny just got done doing.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun 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 dun.
And this one hits a home run, 100% in quality.
Sweet.
Good. I know. Whole Family Guy. Good.
Let's see. Next up, we got Godzilla Stories with Steve Schilling at 1 p.m. in the Kennedy Room. I'm assuming these are like. This is another one that was with a very vague title that I have no idea what it's about. I'm assuming it's like people sharing personal stories growing up with Godzilla.
Yes, actually,
stories to tell in the dark.
Oh no. No, I actually am familiar with this one because I actually went to a similar one that Steve Schilling did it back in 2015, which was basically discussing that and how we were exposed to that as well as maybe some other forms of Japanese science fiction and monster movies. And at that time, I was still associated with Madame Noise, and we both went to go into that panel, and it was pretty nice actually.
Okay. Don't have much to say other than that.
Yep. And at 2:00 at Ballroom 1, we have the Ifukube panel with Eric Hominick and some guy from Nebraska.
Some pretentious guy who writes stuff like Toho Kingdom and Sci-Fi Wire and.
Yeah, an unbiased truth teller, a
Patrick Galvan, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for ruining the fun for me, Greg, from continuing with the nicknames.
Yes, we got another one of our own here on the panel.
And I think Reiko is going to be also involved in this panel too.
It's going to be Eric, myself, John DeSantis, Reiko Yamada, and also we have a fifth participant, very knowledgeable fan who will be making his second appearance at G-Fest. Tyler Martin, very, very knowledgeable about music, about Ifukube, about art, very smart guy. All five of us are going to be in this panel blathering about all things Ifukube. I don't want to get into specifics because it's really Eric's show first and foremost, and he hasn't gone public with what he has in mind yet. So I'll let him make the moves as far as making announcements as far as content goes. But I will say, as the title suggests, it's about the man, the music, the monsters. So it's going to be a little bit about Ifukube's life. And for those of you who don't know, Eric is the webmaster of akirifukube.org, which is the most comprehensive resource about Ifukube's life and career in general. So he'll be talking about Ifukube's growing up and such, and we'll talk about music and the monsters and such. And I'll leave the more specific details to Eric to announce, but yeah, it'll be just five enthusiasts and also Reiko, as I said, who was a student of Ifukube's, just talking about this legendary composer. Nice, and I'll definitely be there for that, and I look forward to information that I would like to know about Ifukube. I haven't really been known of already.
And I definitely am planning on going to this panel just to, out of, solidarity and all the work I did to help with Kaiju Crescendo. So for me, going to this panel isn't just to learn about Ifukube, but it's also to, pay my respects to Eric, to John, and just everybody that helped make the Crescendo a reality. Since John is going to be conducting Ifukube's work from Mysterians and the 56 film Rodan. Rodan being especially in demand by the fans.
Not surprised. It's a great score. It's one of his best.
Oh yeah, one of my favorites.
So that you got that to look forward to.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's see. Next up, we got Collect All Monsters at 2 p.m. Ballroom 2, featuring Kyle Young.
You can't collect all monsters, right?
This one's a
oh yeah, try me.
That's probably would be his response too.
I'm assuming this is about collecting figures.
Very much so. Yes, it's about collecting figures. I would definitely.
Okay.
So Kyle's very active in that community, especially in the Godzilla collectors group and in the X Plus groups.
I'm totally gonna go collect me a Cthulhu.
Yeah, Andres. Actually, Greg's lying to you. Kyle's actually trying to collect all the monsters from Japan and put them in his own personal collection.
Okay.
Like
he's trying to become the next Ultra 7. He wants to collect all the monsters.
No. What he's going to try to be is going to try to be the villain from Pokemon the movie 2000.
He's gonna be like Ultraman. He's gonna be like Ultraman X. He's gonna turn all the monsters into little 5-inch figures.
Yes.
Andrew is going to fly around in a gigantic skyscraper-sized airship.
Yes.
And he's going to launch all these big electric chain things that capture the monsters and bring back.
Yep. Exactly. And the giant fortress will just have Godzilla's face plastered all over it.
And will this cause all the tides and such to mess up and bring about the day after tomorrow type natural disasters and such?
Yep. And only the chosen one can restore natural order.
Of course.
The chosen one, of course, would be Keith Foster.
Let's see. Next up, we have creating original kaiju with Kroll. I assume this is
the movie.
Dan Kroll.
Dane Kroll, yeah. Familiar with that name.
So this one's a pretty straightforward one. It's about helping people create their own original kaiju for their stories and whatnot.
Okay, and apparently he was the writer of a series of novels called Realm of Goryo.
That's right. I've actually got some of those books in my collection that I bought at his table last year in Artist Alley.
I think I've heard of him through the Kaiju Assault indie card game, where they collaborated with several. Yep, yeah. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. Kaiju Assault collaborated with several people to get their original kaiju creations and adapt them as characters to play as in their Kaiju Assault card game, kind of similar to Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! And Goryo was one of the projects involved. The others being, I believe it was Christopher Martinez's Fire Beast comics character and characters from Matt Denion's own novels. And I think there was a fourth individual involved. I think it was...
was it Tyler Slows?
No, not Tyler Soul, sadly. I think it was... I know the person's going to hate me for missing his name.
Wintergaya?
No, not Steve. Who was the guy who did those novels featuring that monster Marugra?
Zach Cole.
Zach Cole, yes. I think he was
Zach Cole, yeah.
Yeah, Zach Cole. Zach King Cole, as I like to call him.
Very, very cool guy.
Yes, indeed. Maybe I want to say he also got some of his characters involved in the card game. And maybe at G-Fest, you might see another individual whose particular indie project might be featured in the card game at this year's G-Fest.
Who particularly is not a big blue robot, but that's besides the point.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's some whitewashed Mexican living in America, in Japan. And let's see. And next up, we got ourselves the G-Fest panel featuring JD's Lees at 3 p.m. In Ballroom 1. So
So you mean to tell me that G-Fest is actually a panel this whole time and not an event?
My God.
it's a convention within a panel within a convention.
Deception.
Dude,
What I-
Starring Leonardo DiCaprio.
Now, I think what this panel is actually about is basically discussing, this year's G-Fest and also covering what's going to be happening the following year from what I've picked up on. So it might be a way for people to get to know what to expect potentially going into the following year. 2020 is going to be pretty big, with Godzilla versus Kong coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like next year. We're not going to host G-Fest at a hotel anymore. It's going to be hosted in a buffet table.
Can you imagine?
We'll save a lot of money on food this way.
And of course, the next one, Ballroom 2, will be the big Godzilla YouTuber panel that Titan Goji here will be heading, and along with a prominent list of who's who and YouTubers.
Yeah, including a like some kind of whitewash Mexican that we do not associate here with.
Right. I hear he's a bit of an asshole. He's a very lazy, pretentious prick who doesn't he spends too much time making podcasts instead of scripted reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
thinks he by tagging him in YouTube trends.
Yeah.
Like he thinks he makes trends, but no one follows them.
He thinks he's so special with his big dumb blue robot mascot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
This panel is hosted by me, Titan Goji, and on this panel I will also have Andreas Kaiju Noir, as well as Matt Burkett and Nate Grady from Monstrosities, both guys from Dangerville, and D-Man 1954.
Yeah, who's going to be coming to G-Fest for the very first time.
Oh yeah. it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be big.
Gonna be huge.
Yeah.
Tremendous, believe me.
And we're all gonna basically talk about like what it's like being a content creator in the Godzilla community on the YouTube platform. What are some pros and cons about it, and we'll also have a Q&A towards the end.
Right, where people can submit their own stupid questions, like, do you identify with Godzilla because you're a man? do you identify with King Kong because you're a hairy Mexican? I didn't think we get the personal.
Oh my god!
Is that?
Oh my god!
I don't know.
Kaiju Noir, I left you a very whiny, bitchy comment on one of your videos 2 years ago. You never responded. What gives?
Did you like the Meg trailer?
Have you seen the Meg? For those who don't know, there's like this individual who keeps like giving me these random suggestions for videos, especially for the longest time. He kept saying, "Hey, are you going to review the Meg?"
The Meg.
You Creep Show or whatever it was, or something like that.
I don't know.
Shut
Are you
up,
gonna?
Meg.
Can you review Inhumanoids?
Shut up, Meg.
Shut up! I'm trying to do a Peter Griffin impression, but I just failed epically.
That sounded more like a Rob Paulson impression, if I were to be honest.
Yeah, I'm actually debating whether or not I should share my story on how I got blocked by John Boyega on Instagram at the panel.
What?
Wait, what?
I think you shared with me the story.
Wait,
That name sounds familiar. Why does it sound familiar?
wait, what? Is this for real?
Yes, me and several others got blocked by John Boyega on Instagram.
That name sounds familiar. Who is he?
He's
an actor.
What?
He's
Finn from
All right, hold on. One at a time. One at a time.
Okay.
No, all the time, everyone at the same time. No.
Why did you answer, please? Who is he?
Who's this guy?
Okay, so he's Finn from Star Wars. He was Stacker Pentecost's son in Pacific Rim Rising.
Never saw it.
And
Star Wars, never heard of it.
and apparently wants to be involved in the upcoming Attack on Titan remake and live action Gundam, so he can ruin more franchises.
Oh, playing Star Wars.
Okay, would it be a good idea to tell the story here? Because like there is mildly sensitive stuff involved.
Ooh, I would say it's better here than over there because it's like that's the thing. Like,
yeah, it's definitely more contained here.
Because I'll tell you from my experiences when it comes to G-Fest, it's that it is very not family friendly, but like JD Lees himself tries his best to make it as family friendly as possible, especially given the like we've all been to G-Fest at this point, so like how many people there are like kids there or teenagers there with their parents and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so
Right,
like,
yes, absolutely.
I hate to be someone who would try to limit someone's freedom to express whatever it is they want to say, but I want to say like within the G-Fest environment, it's best to have as professional of a demeanor as possible.
Oh yeah, totally. I completely understand that.
Yeah, so I would say when you're at G-Fest and especially when you have a panel yourself, you really want to represent yourself in the best way possible, and just to perhaps it's like if you're concerned that a story you have might be a bit on the offensive side, it's best to maybe not share it so much. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say here.
I totally understand what you're getting at.
Yeah, because I really don't want to come off as someone who's like, who's easily offended at everything. At the same time, I'm just saying there's a time and place for everything. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
Yes. But I will say this though, Titan, I am interested in this in that story. So if we got to get the chance to meet up, or maybe beforehand, I would love to hear it.
I mean, you can feel free to like message me later, and I can like tell you, or I can tell it here right now if that's cool. Since it's basically much more contained here than it will be at G-Fest, kinda.
Unless JD Lees decides to watch this and he's like, "Oh no, this is clearly not the appropriate kind of person I want for my convention."
Well, Greg, it's your live stream. What do you say?
Yep.
Well, it's
Yeah, just DM me.
Here's our answer.
Well, I'll be sharing the final. I'm not sure if you guys have seen Denny's completed commission, but I'll be personally spreading it around the usual places when this stream concludes.
All right, excellent.
All right, then.
So let's see. So yeah, Gods. Oh, by the way, when I was looking for like images on YouTube, I came across on Google Images about the people we were talking about in the past. I came across an old G-Fest panel hosted by Goji73 that's also about Godzilla YouTubers, and pretty much like their set of Godzilla YouTubers is like completely different from what Titan Goji here has. So I thought it's very interesting that we have two, like separated by years potentially, two sets of Godzilla YouTuber panels featuring two, I guess you can call two generations of Godzilla YouTubers.
Sure.
Yeah, because I would say like someone like Goji73 was probably like here way before any of us that are going to be at this year's panel.
Yeah, he's been around for a while.
Yeah. I just thought it was interesting. Okay, so let's see. Next panel we have is the Godzilla anime panel. Oh boy!
Yay!
And for this panel, we've got once again Brian Scherschel, Will Ofut, Kevin Derendorf again on another panel. God, that guy really goes around on the panels. But what can I say? Ira Trayborn, another recurring panelist, and Chris Little for the 5th and final panelist.
I will say this, man. To all the panelists of that particular panel, good luck. Let's see. And finally, the last panel we have at 4:00 p.m. in Ballroom 2, Kaiju Confessions with Stan Hyde, lasting 90 whole minutes.
What?
This one I've never.
Why does that one get 90 minutes?
I don't know. These guys come after us.
Well, since this would be pretty much the end of the convention as a whole, I think this is just where they just go. It's pretty something. I've never been to it.
Box and take your confessions.
It's basically like a big party, pretty much. Hanging out with the family, having ourselves a party.
But Stan just like in the confession, he just rips off his face, but it's revealed to be young Gary. It was me, Austin. It's me.
These kaiju conventions are actually pretty regular, actually, for G-Fest conventions.
What exactly are they?
I'm gonna look back to last year's and see what the actual description of it said, because it should be listed.
Yeah, I feel like this is like another one of those like traditions that you see at every G-Fest, like the costume contest or the artist panel.
Like is it like, I guess, about like controversial opinions that one has about certain pieces of tokusatsu media?
I don't think Godzilla's Revenge is a good movie. I think Godzilla 54 is really, really good.
But not the best.
Godzilla's Revenge has the big gay.
What?
What?
A what?
What?
Okay. I just felt like saying that. I don't know why.
You know,
what are you, a 12-year-old on the internet?
Yeah, you guys just reminded me, because I was rewatching Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, and right before that scene happened, you got that scene of the guy going, "It's a dinosaur, gigantic dinosaur attacking our boys."
Dinosaur? What?
If you ever rewatch that scene again in the Japanese version, it looks like he's limp singing his lines. It doesn't look natural at all.
Oh yeah.
Like,
and also, I just want to mention, not only am I a 12-year-old, I am a 12-year-old who is watching Cinemassacre's Monster Madness back in 2007 or 2008.
And that's where you're getting all your basically info from.
Yep, and my opinions.
Oh, got ourselves an edgy boy here. Got ourselves a smarty pants over here.
Godzilla versus Hedorah. What were they smoking? Crack?
And what was...
They were on drugs when making this.
And what was in the water with Godzilla vs. Hedorah?
And let's see, we got Andre Steele saying we have a lot of videos to go through for that one. I'm assuming he's talking about Kaiju Confessions. And he says we sing along with the movie and animation theme songs.
oh, okay. And okay, so let's see. It was a.
Can we get Zazbar to come back to G-Fest so he can sing the Gamera Super Monster song? Too bad that footage never surfaced.
Maybe the footage will surface of him in the bathtub holding his issue of IEW's Godzilla.
Oh, come on, man. Come on.
That's not funny.
You gonna cry, Bill? You gonna cry?
Oh, come on, man.
Look at little Goblin Jr. Gonna cry.
So yeah, there we go. That's the entire G-Fest schedule. as described
there's also the after party Sunday night where you may or may not see Jeb Zorno scream like his head off for some reason.
In other words, Zorno being Jeff Zorno.
That didn't happen at the last two after parties, but doesn't mean what happened this year.
Something stupid's gonna happen this year at that party.
I do remember at the one, like, I think Bill, Dylan, and I only ever attended it in 2015, that after party. Mm-hmm. And it was like everyone was doing this competition for like an X Plus 1989 Godzilla figure. And it was sort of like a Simon Says competition. And obviously none of us won.
They didn't have any of those last two that I went to, but interesting.
Yeah. After that, every other year, I think we would just, like, either me or the SOS guys or me and you guys would just like chill out, have dinner, have a few drinks at the bar, and then just record whatever last videos we're going to make for YouTube.
No, you fell asleep. That's what happened.
Oh yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Damn that jet lag.
Oh, excuses.
Yes,
especially real, I tell ya.
We have proof of that too, since we that I was recording of that.
Yeah, you guys see the blooper reels of me like just completely passed out on the bed.
We also
it's not even my bed.
Photo too.
No, my bed actually.
Also, that great photo of Andres like passed out of bed. It's like me, Andrew, and Brian are in the foreground looking back at him, and Brian drew a red circle around Andres saying, and then wrote "sad" next to it.
Yeah, there's two videos. One that Patrick did which made it to there, and another one that I did that had the Hellfire theme over it.
Yeah, like this year at G-Fest, I'm gonna get like the strongest coffee possible to stay awake. So yeah, I guess there goes the whole entire G-Fest panels as described by Greg and a bunch of idiots.
Yeah.
Namely Kaiju Noir.
Well, I'd say a group of of well-versed, well-spoken, intelligent idiotos.
Well, I mean, I know you're referring to Eric Hominick and John DeSantis here, but like us, no.
No, not Eric John, no. Those guys, they're classy. Mm-hmm. You guys, on the other hand, though, look and sound like a bunch of ruffians out to break shit and cause mayhem.
Well, that's not incorrect.
We did warn you. We warned you, Greg.
Yeah. And I apologize to you in advance before we went live.
Yeah,
your live stream a few times, which we did, as it happens, as always.
But it's made this a very entertaining stream, to put it lightly. We actually have people in our chat, so which is more than I can say for my previous two live streams. But then again, my last two live streams were for a wholly different purpose, of course.
Right.
Yes.
You were trying to be professional about things. You're trying to be normal.
Well, I would say passionate, to be more accurate, because I wouldn't be doing a live stream or something unless I truly believed in something. And Kaiju Crescendo is something that I personally believe in.
Sure,
absolutely.
Very, very something that's going to be pretty sentimental to me when I actually get to experience it.
Of course. And very admirable that you've managed to dedicate yourself to this cause for as long as you have for the duration of its campaign. And for that, we applaud you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Bravo.
This is the first Kickstarter that I've backed, but this is the one I've had the most personal investment in.
In which case, you done good.
Done well.
That'll do, little Greg. That'll do.
Oh.
Yeah, someone had to bring up that reference.
Yeah, you had to reference Babe of all movies.
Hey, that's a great movie. How dare you?
It is a great movie, but still.
Like I said, time and place for everything, Andrew.
Schindler's List. You have to reference that one all the time either. It's kind of a depressing experience.
You said that was very commendable, Patrick.
It was very commendable. Yes.
I'm wondering if Spielberg was able to relate with those people because he was. No, I'm not even going to finish that joke.
Oh,
Man.
That may have been a stupid question at that one G-Fest, but that question will live on forever in infamy.
It will. It will.
And we will continue to bring it up all the time.
Yep.
That'll be the definitive stupid fan question for G-Fest.
The penultimate stupid question.
Yeah, as far as Godzilla Q&As that I've attended, that was the low point. Yeah.
Will they top? Will someone
the
top
absolute madman?
Will someone absolutely top it at this year's G-Fest? Stay tuned, folks. Find out on the next episode and on the next convention of G-Fest.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
So how do you want to end things off, Greg?
Oh, how to send things off? Well, I can honestly say it's been a riot to have all you crazy ruffians on my channel of all places. And so say thank you. Just want to say thank you all for taking time out of your schedules to do a 2+ hour live stream on a small little channel that I call home.
No worries, man. Doing 2+ hours is our specialty.
Almost 3 hours, actually. Almost 3 hours.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow.
My God.
Oh, I've gone almost 4 hours on some of my interviews.
Wow.
Nice.
All right, very nice.
Oh, the subject matter of some of these made for very compelling discussion, to put it lightly.
Sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having us on, man. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's nice to feel wanted by someone else.
And it was awesome to have some of the finest artists in our fandom joining us in the chat for a period of time. Matt Frank jumping in there was the biggest surprise of the night, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that either.
Oh yeah, that just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I think that was him making up for not being able to attend my Kaiju Crescendo 2 live stream. So this is a way for him to make it up to me, I guess.
Oh yeah, it makes sense because Matt, he's from what I understand, he's always busy doing something. He's always
absolutely
stretching himself all over the place, trying to help as many people or contribute to whatever event, as many projects as possible. So good on him. And even now, before he left, he said he was in Las Vegas. So I can only imagine what he's doing there.
Oh God. Well, hopefully he doesn't run into David.
Right.
Oh yeah.
If he does, he needs to order from McDonald's and have it delivered by David to him. Call back.
And of course, we kept talking so long that Denny actually finished my commission.
Yay.
Nice.
That's a good Sasquatch.
He should point the finger at him just to Then David would say, "You've been talking to Andres and Andrew and Patrick, haven't you? I don't know what y'all are playing, whatever it is, I don't like it."
Y'all be some S.
For those who don't know what we're talking about, look up the tag video, simply titled "Tag" on Gorizard's channel. That's Gorizard.
And get ready for the greatest video you'll ever see in your entire lives.
Gorizard. It's an easy channel to keep track of.
Yeah.
Yes. He rarely
gets taken down by YouTube.
Yeah, whenever it's not being taken down by YouTube, yes.
He's like a phoenix. Every time his channel's stricken down, he comes back more powerful than before.
Well, he comes back. I don't know about more powerful than before, but
he's like a cockroach. You kill one Gorizard, another one pops up and takes his place on YouTube.
Yeah, except that cockroach becomes dumber every single time it comes back up.
Cockroaches ain't exactly known for being very bright. Put it simply put, they're known for being able to survive almost anything and survive almost anywhere.
So they probably know what they're doing at this point if they can survive for millions of years.
Yeah, except this cockroach kind of failed in the evolutionary process.
Aw.
Wow, I am destroying David in this chat.
Yes, you are.
If somebody sends David a link to this this live stream, he'll respond with motherfuckers.
No, he's not even going to watch it. He never watches any of our stuff, despite us watching his stuff. We support him, but he does not. He's always too lazy to support us.
Yep, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yes.
I think now is as good a time to start, wrapping things up. If you guys are ready to, wrap things up.
Mm-hmm.
So if each of you want to do your own little outro of sorts.
Okay, so I guess to end things, you can always check if you want to follow my shenanigans. You can follow me on the Kaiju Noir channel. That's KAIJUNOIR. Currently in the works of making a top 15 favorite giant monsters in media video as a follow-up to my top 15 giant robots in fiction video. I'm also producing I also recently uploaded the latest episode of my interview podcast series, Shoe Watch, which is where I interview the creator of Kadoja, that being Keith Foster. He's also, we've mentioned his name several times as a big contributor to G-Fest. And the next episode of the Shoe Watch podcast, I will be interviewing Scott Schmidt, who was the writer of the Durantis indie comic, Kaiju comic, as well as one of the creators of the arcade beat 'em up homage comic Final Street, which wrapped up its second Kickstarter recently for Final Street Issue 2 Neon District. And let's see, also in the middle of making a Godzilla 2000 video review. And you can follow me for all those projects. And if you want to, also in the middle of creating my indie comic about a giant robot fighting giant monsters in Mexico called Primal Warrior Draco Azul, you can follow the Facebook page Primal Warrior Draco Azul. That's DRACOAZUL. Hopefully I'll have it ready for G-Fest, where I'll be selling it physically in person at Denny Roth's table at the G-Fest Artist Alley that's downstairs in the basement floor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's the way it is.
That's the way the cookie crumbles.
And I will say, having read the Draco Azul script and having seen like some of the artwork, I can say it's quality stuff. So definitely, if you stop by on the table, definitely pick it up. It's a quality product.
Yeah, especially if you're a fan of super robots like Tetragen 28 and Gonageist work. It's very much akin to that.
Thanks, guys.
Problem.
And the rest of you, who wants to go next?
Ingoji, you want to go next, since you're more prolific than I am?
Yeah, sure. I'll go ahead and keep it short and sweet. You can always check out my channel, Titan Goji. That is Titan, then Goji, then an exclamation point at the end. I mean, you don't need to put in the exclamation point in the search bar. It'll come up anyway. And also have Twitter, Instagram. You can follow me on those platforms as well. And on May 1st, I will begin to upload reviews of every single Godzilla movie leading up to the release of Godzilla King of the Monsters. I'm calling it History of Godzilla. And I'll also be doing reviews of other non-Godzilla kaiju films like Mothra, Rodan, Space Amoeba, War of the Gargantuas, and others.
Including Dogora?
Yes, including Dogora.
Yes.
May Neptune have mercy on your soul.
and I will say I have finished more than half of the reviews already. So and I'm still working on like the other, like the rest of the videos as well. So yeah, that's what I got going on, and also have a bunch of live action Attack on Titan related videos on my channel. So if you just so happen to be a fan of that, you can go to my channel for that stuff.
Or if you want to hear an alternate point of view.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is part of the idea of reviewing stuff.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah. There's that. So yeah,
Provided you're mature enough to accept an alternate point of view. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the tricky part of the internet, though.
The answer is no.
Okay, I think I'll let Andrew make his little, outro next.
Okay. Be sure to check out my Facebook page, Art of Maroc, which is basically my art page where here and there I try to upload any form of art that I can. And also, probably coming in the next couple of weeks, hopefully, I will be taking in art commissions, which I hope to get started too on both black and white as well as colored art, mainly in terms of character designs for the moment. And also, be sure to check out the book that I worked on with Matt Denny called League of Judgment, which is a sequel to his book, Kaiju and the Crime Fighter, which is also going to be going through soon a second draft of it, which I hope to get released out by the next couple of weeks.
Nice.
Cool stuff here, and our finally, Patrick Galvan.
Well, I'm pretty active as a writer on both Toho Kingdom and Sci-Fi Wire. I write about tokusatsu. I write about Japanese cinema in general, and actually my latest article, which is going to be published in a matter of hours, actually is kind of a mix of the two. It's a article on one of Ishiro Honda's non-genre films, a film that he made called Good Luck to These Two, which was a romantic drama starring Hiroshi Koizumi and Yumi Shirakawa.
Ooh.
And it's got a lot of sort of semi-autobiographical stuff as far as having similarities to things that Honda went through in his life. That's to be posted on Toho Kingdom in a very short amount of time. So if you want to have some insights as to a Honda film that's not readily available, be sure to check that out. And I'm always writing about something related to cinema somewhere. So that's about it, though.
All right.
And as for myself, from now till July, I'm going to be mostly focused on trying to get my panel all finished, my art book put together. And as for my podcast, I haven't really had much, time to really book guests and so forth. But if I do have an episode planned and so forth, I will have it announced on Facebook. So just stay tuned to my prehistory group and anywhere else where I post about my prehistory podcast. So that will be pretty much all there. So just keep an eye on Facebook for all the latest updates concerning my Nessie panel. As you just seen tonight, the 20 commissions in, there's just a handful left to go. I have some updates concerning some of those. And Jeff Zorno, he's working on a piece. He's told me he should have it finished up in May. Matt Frank should be wrapping things up in June. And also remaining in the running, not including the new guys, Raph and Mark. Nick Shev is very far along on his contribution involving the yacht attack scene from the film, which actually happens. It actually has storyboards for, which I'll be sharing at the panel. Bill Couture is still working on it, but I haven't seen much in the way of updates on it, but that should be done probably before July. So if anyone else wants to join the fun, I'm not opposed to it, but I'm thinking I have enough commissions for my book as is, because Bob Eggleton, the guy's pricey.
I wonder why.
I mean, it's not like he's this big-time artist in the Godzilla community. Nah.
Or has decades of experience under his belt.
And a multi-time Hugo Award winner, among many other accolades. He actually got a Lifetime Achievement Award just recently.
Nice.
So with that said, this has been the Kaiju Crescendo Celebration in G-Fest discussion live stream. And as such, I'll say to my audience, I bid you all a good night. And as always, please like, comment, and above all, subscribe. And if you do subscribe, enable the notifications so that you never miss a podcast live stream or review or a discussion about X, Y, or Z, whatever just comes to my fancy on my YouTube channel. And with that, I am concluding this broadcast now.